It's the most competitive mountain bike stage race in the world. It's the pinnacle of the Epic series. It is the Absa Cape Epic. Hello and welcome to the 2022 edition of the Absa Cape Epic, the 18th edition of this great event. And we are progressing down the line. We are on day 7, stage 6 of this incredible journey around the beautiful Western Cape. Neil Gardner is alongside me chatting about today's stage, which is going to be another superb example of mountain biking around a beautiful part of the Western Cape. Stellenbosch is the focus today, isn't it?
Well, there's some beautiful trails out there today, and we're excited to see how the pros handle it and, of course, how the amateurs enjoy it. It's a little bit of a reward for them today, and no doubt the professionals will have some fun here, and this is your backyard, Gerald, so you'll also be getting a bit of FOMO there out on the trails. Maybe.
It's exciting to see these riders on these trails we know well here, but they've got a lot of kilometres in their legs, some 537 kilometres, 12,000 metres of climbing. The legs are tired, the body's tired. It's all about applying the mind today as well.
Well, we saw some tired legs just getting tighter and tighter throughout the week, but that didn't change the racing yesterday. We saw some thrilling racing, a very exciting finale in the women's category, and the men's a multi-dimensional day where we had a stage win from a team that was in, I think, 9th on GC. It was a all South African team, great for the South African fans, and just they attacked at the perfect moment. So some great tactics there, and of course the animators of this week have been Speed Company Racing, and we expect more from them today.
They have been fantastic, the debutants at the Absa Cape Epic. Well, the race of course started at Lawrence, sort of the prologue and stage 1, then all the way transitioned to Greyton, 2 big stages in Greyton before transitioning to Stellenbosch yesterday, and this is how that day unfolded.
It was a cold night, really rainy, but we could have a good night's sleep.
It was the best ride of the week, I think. Oh, yeah.
Almost there, eh? One trip over the last hurdle now, so I've got to concentrate, but glad to be here. Actually very pleased with our legs, our performance, how we are doing, and looking forward for tomorrow.
Hot, windy, and we thought we were cruising, and we came over Franschhoek Pass, and we thought, shit, this is going to be a breeze, and then they kicked us with some hell of a climbs at the end.
The Absa Cape Epic to mountain biking is what the Tour de France is to road biking. It's long, tough, and is the most prestigious off-road stage race in the world. The Western Cape is South Africa's the host, and with its spectacular landscape and breathtaking trails, it is an event like no other. The attraction is huge for both the best in the world and very keen amateurs. To win this 8-day stage race speaks volumes for skill and tenacity, but for some, it's just to complete the course. The teams of two will cover a total of 681 kilometers and climb a whopping 17,000 meters on this wild African adventure. Today is stage 5 and the course takes the riders on a transition from Elandskloof through to Stellenbosch. It's a story of 3 parts. A huge kick from the get-go as the riders are straight into the rusty gate climb, Franschhoek Pass and the final punch over Botmaskop. It's all linked together with undulating trails and punctuated by plush single tracks into Stellenbosch. The riders will cover 115 kilometres and climb 2,400 metres. On the start line for the last time in Greyton, third in the GC is 91 Songo Specialized, Matt Beers and Chris Blevins. 2 minutes behind is Speed Company Racing in second place, Gail Gega and Lucas Baum competing in their first Cape Epic, and in the yellow zebra leaders jersey is Canyon Northwave. The world numbers 1 and 2 in marathon racing, Andreas Seewald and Martin Storsek. The start gun goes and there is trepidation in the air. Stage 5 is always decisive and this year the tension is palpable. Canyon are almost 7 minutes ahead, but anything can happen in the South African wilderness. The gap from second to third is just less than 5 minutes, so it's all to play for. Straight out of the race village is the Rusty Gate climb. It's 500 metres of vertical to ascend, so the riders are primed to strike straight away. Again, it's the bold young Germans from Speed Company Racing that take the initiative and state their intentions right away. Egger and Baum keep the pace high and have a 2-minute lead. They really want this stage win and to eat into the 7-minute gap in the GC. Heads down, they push hard and barely look up. In doing so, they miss a course marker and go the wrong way. It's a costly mistake and they have to chase back. At the sharp end of the race in the African leaders' jerseys are Imbuko Typedev with Marco Hubert and Peter de Toy. They are feeling great today and really want this stage win. They are currently in 9th overall and 40 minutes off the lead, so no danger to the yellow jersey. Into the final climb and Imbuko Typedev are stretching the gap. Speed Company Racing have found a way and have rejoined the chase group including Specialized, Canyon and Bulls with Schneller and 2016 winner Uber. With just 10 kilometres to go, Peter de Toy is struggling to keep the blistering pace, but he can smell the finish line and victory in Stellenbosch. They keep it safe and cross the line in just under 4 hours and 5 minutes and are the 6th All-African team to win a stage on the Absa Cape Epic. Just over 2 minutes later is the yellow jersey, Canyon Northwave. 4 seconds later in third are Toyota 91 Specialized, who jump up to second in the overall. Speed Company Racing have a shocker and come in 5th. They drop to third in the GC by just 8 seconds. The men's podium for stage 5 has 91 Songo Specialized with Beers and Blevins. Second goes to the overall leaders Canyon Northwave, Seewald and Stossek, and a fantastic win for the young All-African jersey holders, Dutoy and Hubert, a first for both of them. The overall leaders Canyon Northwave remain in the yellow zebra leaders jersey going into the penultimate stage tomorrow. Just a few minutes after the men, it's time for our UCI women's category. In the orange leaders jersey, 91 Songo Specialized, Sophia Gomez-Villafan and Hayley Batten. The closest rivals on GC, BMC MTB Racing with Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot, and Faces Roller in the Africa leaders jersey, Candice Lil and Mariska Strauss. The racing starts from the line as Lil and Strauss go full throttle heading out to the Rusty Gate climb. The intentions are obvious today. Specialized and Faces are keen to put some time into BMC and Simtech ZA in the overall. Right from the base of the climb, the two teams work together to set the pace and chip away at the 115 kilometres. Private Client Holdings, the South African duo Marie Rabi and Hayley Preen, have pounced whenever they have seen a weakness and have been rewarded with 2 podiums so far. Today is no exception, they're comfortably in third. It all comes down to the final kick of the race. Faces Roller 91 Songo Specialized have ridden the whole race together. They take the final water crossing with Argentine Gomez-Villafan leading the charge, but it's her American teammate Batten with a decisive pass of Strauss that tells the story. The Orange GC leaders take it all the way home and cross the line in just under 5 hours. 5 seconds later, Faces cross the line. Lil just didn't have the legs at the end to challenge Specialized. Private Client Holdings, Marie Rabi and Hayley Preen put down another fine performance and finish in third for the 3rd consecutive day. Private Client Holdings, Marie Rabi and Hayley Preen celebrate in 3rd place. Faces Roller, Candice Lil and Mariska Strauss in 2nd with their 4th podium finish so far. They jumped from 3rd to 2nd in the GC. Sophia Gomez-Villafan and Hayley Batten of Team 91 Songo Specialized take their 2nd stage win and extend their overall lead to just under 16 minutes.
A day of drama and excitement. This is the entire route. Lawrence for a couple of days, transition to Greyton for 2 big loops in those rugged mountains, past the Theewaterskloof and Berg River dams to Stellenbosch. And today's stage number 6 takes us in and around some of the most spectacular trails in the country for a 76-kilometre loop, 2,700 metres of climbing. Only stage 1 had more total climbing, and so that is a serious challenge for these riders today as they leave the Coetzenburg playing fields, the sports grounds of the University of Stellenbosch, snake through the town of Stellenbosch, over Botmaskop, a brutal climb to wake them up with, into the Banhoek Valley, deep into the valley, across the river, and then onto the famed and fabled trails of Old Bethlehem Farm. They are spectacular, fast and engaging, and then back up over the Botmaskop climb, and then they might well think home is close. Well, it's not. They've got a glimpse of the race village to their right, but they traverse the valley up to Jonkershoek. Is there a more famous area of mountain biking in South Africa? They ride the Armageddon, Red Phoenix trails, and then drop down on the to the river, and then up the other side of the valley and all the way back down to Stellenbosch. Some new trails as well to explore for these riders before that little kicker right before the start. They'll have to deal with that again if it comes down to it, but I think that today it might not be a bunch sprint. Who knows? There is the jagged saw that we have to deal with the riders today. I can tell you Neil Gardner and I have been joined by Anneke Langveld. Welcome, Anneke.
Thank you.
Feeling all right?
Feeling all right, yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Looking at that?
Yeah, so I had a brief chat with some of the riders just last night, and today is really a day where you can go on the attack from the start gun, because there's a lot of climbing, a lot of trails. If you can get away early on, you're feeling good, well, you're in a very good position.
So that's what it looks like today. 4 chain rings. Only stage 1 was tougher. That was the 5 ring day and the Queen stage. As trails go, perhaps this is the most laden with trails today. This is the general classification. Sjevelten Stosek, the world champion and the world number 2 in marathon racing of Canyon Northwave, lead by 6 minutes and 54 from the defending champion Matt Beers and his American partner Chris Blevins of Toyota 1991 Specialized. 2 stage wins for them. Egger and Baum have been the animators, the aggressors all the way through the week early on in each stage. They have won a stage, and they just 8 seconds behind Beers and Blevins. The race is on there. Becking and Diaz have lost their hopes. I fancy Buff Megamo 20 minutes down. Uber and Schneller. And then South Africa's Peter de Tour and Marco Hubert, a sensational ride yesterday to victory, and has vaulted them up from 9th to 6th place on the overall standings. Schurter and Forster, well, they've had their travails all the way through this week, and not only punctures early on, and now Lars Forster in the last couple of days has been really struggling, not quite on the form of Nino Schurter. But then again, whoever he is the 9-time world champion and one of the greats of all time. In the women's classification, 15 minutes is the buffer Batten and Gomez Villafin have over the Faces Roller pair, and then Ferrand Prévard de Groot. Well, if you to go back on the week, this is their day, because they've alternated their days. They've got 3 stage wins. Yesterday they fell way back. Luty and Wakefield, well, they were on the podium early in the week. Unfortunately, they are losing time hand over fist. Rabi and Preen are the coming team. They really have been strong. 3 third-place finishes. Perhaps today an opportunity for them to put pressure on Luty and Wakefield. That's how the top 7 look in the CM.com women's general classification. So down at the start at the Coetzenburg playing fields in Stellenbosch, and plenty of tension, plenty of excitement at the home of mountain biking in South Africa as these riders prepared to explore the trails around Stellenbosch. 76 kilometers, 2,400 meters of climbing, and there was plenty of tension.
Good morning, Martin. What do you think will happen early on in the stage today? Is a lot of climbing super early?
Yeah, for us it's a good thing. I think we will have to climb, and this big one from the beginning, I think it will suit us, so we'll try to control it from the beginning. We'll do maybe some pace, and yeah, we are lucky that this is the only one stage we know a bit at least, so that also can be like make us more confident for today. And of course the gap is even a bit bigger than yesterday, so I think it's gonna be a good day.
And do you expect some of the other lower teams that are potentially not in GC contention to go and target the stage?
Maybe yes, but I think this one is that difficult that the power will decide, and I'm not sure if these guys saved some energy through the days. If they go, and then I think there will be a battle with us, Specialized and Speed Company.
And looking ahead on your calendar, the next race on your calendar is the 4 Islands in Croatia. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, actually I did it already 3 times, so I know the race quite well. It's a nice one. And yeah, I will hope we will compete there. Yeah, it's not 100% sure yet, but I hope that we can go there.
We look forward to seeing you. Enjoy the stage today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Lucas, you and Georg lit up the race again yesterday morning and had people on the edge of their seats and then had a little mishap. Can you tell us what happened there?
Yeah, I don't know what really happened. I'm still figuring out how much time we really lost. We were already, some guys saw just about the time when the moto told us we're 2 minutes ahead. We took a wrong turn. Either our view to the signs were blocked by the moto, or the moto led us in the wrong direction somehow, and we ended up in the middle of an apple field. Had to chase all the way back, and even in the uphill, I think we lost about 2 minutes when we went back on track. So I mean, you can do the calculation. I mean, 1 or 2 minutes ahead, and then chase the pack down, which were at that point 2 minutes ahead of us. So we were 4 minutes faster than the rest of the bunch. They were even surprised when we caught up to them that we came from behind. They still thought we were ahead. So yesterday we had the chance, or we were virtually in the yellow jersey. Unfortunately, it's not the case. Now we're 10 seconds behind the second, but we try again today.
That's obviously super disappointing. How do you motivate yourself to go out there guns blazing again today?
Yesterday there was a lot of swearing and cursing, but now all the anger is out, and I try to channel the aggression into moving forward.
We can't wait to see what happens today. Enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, man. Good morning, Haley and Sophia. You obviously know quite a bit. You've been told quite a bit about what to expect today on these beautiful single-track trails.
Yeah, I think we're really excited. This is almost hopefully a highlight of the week. We actually were here the week before the Cape Epic began and got to ride some of the trails out there. We don't know exactly what will be on today, but we have a pretty good idea of the terrain, and I think we're really looking forward to it.
And it's a Saturday here, so there's obviously a lot more. There's going to be a lot of people en route and a lot of support. Are you looking forward to that?
Oh, of course. I think the more people you have cheering you on kind of makes you go a little bit faster. And the Songo kids are out here as well. They were out there yesterday and are going to be here over the next 2 days cheering us on. So it melts our hearts. And yeah, we're ready to fight and take this thing home.
Enjoy it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Carl Platz, you are looking forward to today, I can see.
Yeah, sure. I mean, today is the second last stage, so we're close to the finish, and today is a really awesome stage because we're doing lots of single track, and I know all the single tracks, and I'm really looking forward to ride them.
But where is your partner? Where is Christoph Sauser?
Actually, I see him. He is riding somewhere there behind.
Always late at the start, but he's never late on the climbs.
Yeah, never late on the climbs. So he's timing it perfectly for the last second, you know. Now we're having lots of fun riding together, and yesterday the last part in Stellenbosch was great. And yeah, it's, what can I say? I mean, we understand each other very well, and that's a great thing.
Well, let the good times roll. Have a good one.
Thank you very much.
Cool, have a good one. Claude, we had a little chat there offline, and you mentioned you rode much of yesterday's stage with Christoph Sauser and Carl Platt. How was that?
Well, it's an honor to ride with the legends, to be honest. It was a great privilege because we saw how they ride, how they are doing, and we kind of learned from them, to be honest. And I'm looking forward to be like them one day.
And Marky Barron and Peter de Toy won yesterday. How good is it to see an all-South African team win a stage?
It's also good because, you know, ever since, I think it's about years, we have seen like South African riders winning the stage, which is quite good. And I think there will be teams in the future who can do more.
For sure. And the trails today is going to be super fun out there?
Yeah, the trails I think will be fun. Then just relaxing, saving energy. Tomorrow is a big stage.
Enjoy it. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Yes.
Right, this is the start from Coetzenburg. This morning, bright sunshine. There was a buffeting southeaster yesterday and into the night, but thankfully that's abated. And they're heading off out of Coetzenburg in truly spectacular conditions today for a day to savor for the mountain bikers.
Well, just by the looks of the ratio of the trails and the single track, it'll be certainly a day for the mountain biking fans, and the pure mountain biking fans will revel in these trails. Some of the most famous trails in the world, in fact. And certainly with Jonkershoek, they've got Jonkershoek to look forward to. We've got the Eerste Valley trails, and interestingly, we've got the Melon Trail and the Stark Condi trails. It's going to be really great to see how the pros handle it. We've seen, just from the early footage, we saw some of the professionals doing their tricks, doing some tail whips, and it's going to be a bit of a fun day, but not necessarily for the riders at the very front of the field in general classification. There's still all to play for. And we go back to the women's category, and that looks to be very much in control, the lead, but not really in control of her destiny is Ariane Luthi, really struggling from her ailments, and today is another bad day for them.
Yeah, and that's the kind of a new factor that comes into play at this point in the race. It's not only the challenge of riding your bike, it's also everything else that can happen. And if you're starting to feel weak, it's still a long way to go. So super challenging, and I have a feeling we'll see some teams really start to fade.
This is the first climb straight up Botmaskop. They came down this trail on single tracks, and there are single tracks to climb this, but the key here is the yellow jerseys. Andreas Servold already needing a push from Martin Storsek. Yesterday's stage winners going up this climb. It is absolutely brutal, and it certainly spread the field out very, very early on, and the two leading women's teams all together. Once the race had headed over the Botmaskop early climb and thinned it out, they headed down the Fynbos Trail on the Banhoek side of the Banhoek Conservancy trails there, built by Bennett Nell. A beautiful trail it is. And two riders had got away. Fabian Ravenstein and Wout Alleman had got away. And the key there was the yellow jerseys. Servold was battling. He was at the back of the group. Storsek was in the front of the chase group, and he stalled and slowed things down to enable Servold to close the gap to him, which meant that group could all regroup in a little while. The women came down with Songo Specialized and Faces Roller all together, and well, this man, Nino Schurter, was at home.
Yeah, as you can see, he's truly enjoying these trails. It's a shame that this team didn't have the best Cape Epic that we've seen. I'm sure they'll be hungry to come back once again.
There he is down the old Bethlehem trails. It is absolutely spectacular. Lovely riding, and who better to show it off at his very best than the 9-time world champion.
Well, those are the tail whisks we're hoping for from the 9-time world champion Nino Schurter. We could arguably the greatest of all time, the Swiss rider, and he has won 2 Absa Cape Epic before, once with Lars Foster and once with Matthias Sternemann in 2017. So his victories coming in 2017 and 2019. Not to be this year. They are lying in 7th overall, way off the GC, and the GC still very much in contention. All the teams in around about within 7 minutes. That's the top 3 teams. Today will be not a day too much of play. It'll be very much business. We go to the women's category, and again a bit of a carbon copy we're seeing of yesterday's stage with the 2 leading teams, Faces Roller and 91 Songo Specialized.
And interesting enough, we have the same 2 teams in the women's field at the front right now, like yesterday. And also, what is quite crucial is that the final run into the finish line will be exactly the same like yesterday. So I think they will save some energy for that, because that is where we saw real drama happening.
Yeah, I mean, it was very interesting. We had so many big climbs, and 2,400 meters of climbing yesterday, and the shortest little pitch right at the end, literally within a couple of hundred meters of the finish, decided the stage as the elastic snapped for Faces Roller as they try to get over there. Beautiful Simonsberg in the distance. They'll skirt the lower reaches of that as they head down to Eerste Valley. That will be a playground for the final stage, the grand finale tomorrow. But the mountains, the picker up over Jonkershoek, looking pristine today at A beautiful, beautiful morning after the winds of yesterday have cleared. It may come later today, but conditions absolutely perfect and ideal for racing mountain bikes today. 76 kilometers, 2,700 meters of climbing, and the general classification, Canyon Northwave, a 6 minute and 54 second lead over Toyota 91 Specialized. Speed Company Racing a further 8 seconds further back. And in the women's race, there's a quarter of an hour, 15 minutes between Songo Specialized and Faces. And BMC 26 minutes back, 20 minutes ahead of Simtech, who are in big trouble. I think the team chasing hard are Private Client Holdings, who are getting stronger and stronger all week. And this is now live pictures, and the team of Wout Alleman on the front there and Fabian Ravenstein. And now they had been the animators very early on. They went up the Botmaskop climb like rabbits, they really were. William Pirelli, they're 50 minutes down on general classification, so they're not a major threat to the general classification. And well, they were looking perhaps for a stage win today, and why not?
And today is really the day to go for it, because like we spoke about just before, because of all the climbing and all the huge amount of single track on today's stage, today really is a day to kind of go out there on your own, because you can't really benefit like we saw in previous stages on being riding in a group. So being out there on your own is actually the ideal scenario.
Absolutely, they are the masters of their own destiny. This is the Melon Trail just above the Stark Conde wine farm, and it's the creative work of a downhill racer par excellence, Nico Velasco, who lives on this farm and is brought his trail building skills here. There are lots of different lines, but these riders, he's a downhiller and a gravity rider. They love big air and big berms and big jumps. Well, these cross-country and mountain bike marathoners perhaps a little more weary of taking those risks here, but certainly enjoying the Melon Trail in the shade and the shadow of the Jonkershoek Mountains as they head towards Jonkershoek.
Well, there's so much at stake now for the top running teams, the first three teams, an overall victory at the Absa Cape Epic, especially, and it'll be a day of just managing their risks. But of course, for the teams that are lying in second and third, they will need to take a couple of risks, just take a couple of chances if they want a chance at that top step of the podium in Val de Vie.
You can see the A line there with the gap jumps and the like on this Melon Trail, the route for the Absa Cape Epic. I think on this occasion wisely just deciding to avoid that and send them down the steep vineyard roads. As this is now closing in towards the critical phase of the stage, you feel, in Jonkershoek, where they'll be tackling some seriously big climbs and really technical descents. The story of the day so far, we feel, is this, that Andreas Seewald sitting on the front of the yellow jersey pair here, Martin Storsek managing and marshalling his world champion partner, who is definitely struggling today.
Oh, it's quite clear. It's they don't look at all the same like we've been seeing them all week. It's a shame to see, but it is part of this race. It is long, it is brutal, and there's a lot of factors that have to go right in order to be strong in this race.
What do they have to do here, Neil, in terms of their time and who they're looking out for here?
Well, if we look at the time check at the 37 kilometer mark, that was at the old Helshoekte culvert, and at the 37k mark, Speed Company Racing and William Pirelli and Toyota 91 Specialized were all together, and about a minute back was William Pirelli Factories, Cameron Orr and Daniel Gesmar, but notably, especially notably, Canyon Northwave were just under 2 minutes back, having lost almost 2 minutes already at the 37 kilometer mark is not a good sign, especially with the climbs to come. We've got the Jonkershoek Fire Road still. It's a long climb up to almost, in fact, it is the highest point in the race, and we expect to see some even more time lost with that. They have got a 7-minute buffer. Let's not forget that, that they have a comfortable lead, Canyon Northwave. But if Speed Company Racing and Toyota 91 Specialized know what's going on behind them, they will most likely have an idea that that Seewald is suffering. They'll be able to sense it. They'll have seen the gaps early on in the stage, and Seewald seems to be struggling from what we've heard is some painful ribs, crash from the early part of the race, and it seems to be all adding up for the German rider, German world champion, in fact, and looks like that the race is certainly swinging in the favor of Toyota 91 Specialized. They are lying second overall, lying third. Very close, Speed Company Racing. And Speed Company Racing will rue that wrong turning that they took. We actually saw the footage at that exact moment when they took the wrong turning. The course was clearly marked. There was a big red arrow on their left, but clearly with the fierce race pace that they were setting, they didn't see it. It does happen. It is up to the riders to follow the markers, and it is very clearly that they are not to follow the motorbikes. The motorbikes sometimes, of course, have to go off course to find different routes to capture the race, to leapfrog the race up ahead. Some of the course is not accessible to the motorbikes. It needs to be protected. The groomed single track is not suitable for many of the vehicles that cover the Absa Cape Epic. So it's important that the riders follow the markings and don't follow the motorbikes. And we're back with the e-bike. The e-bikes can ride everywhere because they are essentially bicycles. And the none other than Stefan Sam, a 3-time winner of the race on the e-bike.
They're in Jonkershoek now on the Fire Road climb up into the upper reaches of the mountain now, and it is really not a particularly steep climb, but it's a long drag up here.
Well, we're hoping to get some comment from Stefan Sam. When we cut back to him, we'll see if he's able to talk to us. If we have got signal, he can tell us exactly what's going on in the race, because it certainly has reached fever pitch with the Willie Pirelli team up the road. We did expect a lot from this team because they are always animated. Just seems to be the case that always the animators later on in the race. Rabensteiner having won the stage. Alleman, it's his debut at the Absa Cape Epic. He's not new to mountain biking at all, and the two are on a great day and clearly taking a leaf out of the book of the all South African pairing at Eerste River type dev. It's a bit of inspiration. And they know with the overall GC, they're out of contention, and they will be allowed a little bit of leeway with the Speed Company Racing and Toyota 91 Specialized letting them up the road.
Well, there's the Herstein Castle, which is high on the slopes of the mountains heading towards Jonkershoek. There's a 9-hole golf course up there if you fancy a round of golf, but the route heads around the beautiful castle and then into Jonkershoek. Quite a spectacular view all the way out over the winelands, and no doubt a great view of Table Mountain in the distance. Meanwhile, we're looking at the picker up at Jonkershoek. There is a B route, B line here, so these riders are coming down here. This is Nino Schurter and Lars Forster. Could be fun watching these guys go down here. Nino is the second rider there, Forster ahead of him.
Nino Schurter is easy to spot with the yellow helmet, and Forster with the silver and blue helmet. And Forster, no stranger to, he's no slouch on the cross-country circuit either. He is the 2-time European champion, and his skills, we saw him in 2019, more than a worthy partner to Nino Schurter. In fact, at one point, Nino Schurter had to ask him to slow down. Lars Forster really rising to the occasion and hasn't had quite such a good year this year, but it won't stop him having a bit of fun out on the trails today.
And I'm quite sure that they will really enjoy it. They love these kind of trails, and like a lot of the other top riders, they were here before the race, had the chance to go ride a lot of these trails on this specific route today, so they will know them quite well.
Yeah, they are Scotsram 46 minutes back. They did win stage 2, but they lost 15 minutes yesterday, so they've dropped way out of contention. But they're riding and they're enjoying the trails, and perhaps targeting a grand finale stage win here at Val de Vie on the final day, if all things are being equal, if they're feeling in good condition. But we'll wait and see. The women's race, let's have a look at that. So 91 Songo Specialized and Faces Roller, as you were yesterday, all together, and they're 2 minutes and 16 seconds ahead of BMC Mountain Bike Racing, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot enjoying a better day today. They also had they lost a lot of time yesterday. Private Client Holdings 4 minutes further back. Key for them is their progress in advancing to 4th place on general classification. Simtech ZA, Ariane Luthi and Amy Wakefield lost over 11 minutes inside the first 24 Ks. So they've got a goal in mind, have Hayley Preen and Marie Rabi as they hunt down a 4th place finish here. 3 third places in consecutive days for the all South African pair. They'd love to go a little better and get into 4th place on general classification.
Well, we still haven't passed that 37 kilometer mark. That is the Simtex ZA team, and they lost 11 minutes yesterday and look to be losing even more time today. That 4th spot overall looks under threat.
Beautiful images on the fire roads of Stellenbosch. The pilot here in this helicopter is Jonathan, and in fact Skulk is piloting this. Jonathan's operating the camera, and Mark Leroux and Ploffy in front in that other helicopter, bringing you the close-up images of these riders as they're in and out of the sunshine in Jonkershoek. The fire road drags them higher and higher, and of course as you go higher and higher you get the opportunity to come down at speed, and the trails built in Jonkershoek are truly spectacular, so they'll look forward to enjoying those very shortly. And they certainly will be tested by the climbs though, because they'll drop down and then they go back up to another couple of levels, and then do another descent, and those are technical descents. The fatigue starts coming into play, not only today's fatigue but the accumulated fatigue over the last 6 days of racing, and of course then they've got to go across the valley and do more climbing to come down more single track. Yep, it's an up and down day, one of those days. The Coetzenburg field, immaculately laid out race village here in Stellenbosch. The Dani Craven Stadium is the big rugby stadium. Stellenbosch Football Club also use that. As Alleman and Ravensteiner, they were the early animators on Botmaskop, and they've gone out on their own in Jonkershoek, preparing to tackle the single tracks that come. They are the race leaders. On general classification though, they are in 8th place, 50 minutes down. Early morning images of the race village, the teams camping in those red tents, the dining marquee on the right hand side, and plenty of the top professional teams in those camper vans, which make life a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, if you're here not only for the experience of the race, but you're here to race at the sharp end of the field, it really makes a big difference that you come here with a good setup. You have the support needed, so basically all you have to think about is racing your bike as fast as possible. And I'm happy to see that more and more riders have that opportunity to come here with this sort of support. And especially here being at the venue in a camper van is very nice, because you're close to everything, and at the same time you can go into the camper van and you have everything you need. Also especially here on really hot days, when it comes to recovery in the afternoon, it's quite nice. You can go there and just cool the room a little bit.
Yeah, little red tent in the heat of an afternoon is not the ideal recovery place after a hot day on the mountain bike here in the Western Cape. But for most of the riders, that's what it is, and that's the Absa Cape Epic. You deal with it.
Well, that's why they go to the chill zone, of course.
Keep cool there.
And it's all about recovering at the end of each day. And the riders who are staying in the race village really get to enjoy that great camaraderie, the camaraderie off the bike, and being able to rub shoulders with some of the world's best. And when they head off to dinner, they'll be sitting really at the table next to the greatest of all time, Nino Schurter, for instance. I've seen some 5 times winners of the race, some real legends of the sport, and great opportunity for the amateurs to be able to really experience mountain biking at its best.
The outdoors at its best as well. The slopes of Stellenbosch Mountain, which presides over Coetzenburg in the greater town of Stellenbosch, the universities, the schools. It is a seat of learning, Stellenbosch, and it is, in many eyes, the home of mountain biking here. World Cup here in 2018 on Coetzenburg's track, a day that, Anneke, you'll remember well.
I remember that day quite well. It was a fantastic day and fantastic race. Actually, I had a very tight battle with a rider that we see in this race right now, Pauline Ferron-Perot. It came down to a very tight battle between her and I have really good memories from that race. Also, just yesterday I went to the venue, the race venue, and actually so the World Cup course, when you look up to your left, you can see parts of the World Cup course, and it brought back some nice memories.
Well, it's being used next week in a national cross-country race hosted by the Purists Gymnasium School here. They are hosting a national race there, so all the best in the country, all age groups will be there as well. So it is still in use, which is great news, and let's hope one day we'll have a World Cup back here in Stellenbosch and in South Africa, because we would love to see them all racing around here. Of course, we do get to see the best riders in the world racing the Absa Cape Epic once a year, and that's a pretty decent vantage point to get sunrise up above Stellenbosch. What a beautiful sight it is. It is part of the journey, part of riding the world is coming to ride the Absa Cape Epic, and it is part of the Epic series, which is something that is developing, growing bigger and bigger and more popular. Entries are rather like hen's teeth to a lot of the Epic series events, but you can ride all over the world. The 4 islands in Croatia, of course there are 3 events in Australia. There's the Swiss Epic Graubünden in Switzerland, and of course close to Spain and France there is the Andorra Epic, so you should go and ride one of those. Why not choose to ride the Absa Cape Epic and then head off to ride in Andorra? You'll get some proper climbing and a wonderful ride the world experience. Andorra Mountain Bike Classic Pyrenees in June, July. Not sure you'd get an entry for this year's race. You'd have to probably try to go. You can still get an entry for this year's race, apparently, so go for it. Why not? So we look up into the mountains around Stellenbosch for this event. It is, of course, the Absa Cape Epic 2023. The entries open on Monday, the day after the culmination of this year's event, and it certainly has been a wonderful journey around the Western Cape. We've had everything. We've had intense heat over that first couple of days in Lawrenceford, and then a bit of rain and cooler weather, and now just spectacular trails. We're with our race leaders on stage number 6. That's Fabian Rampensteiner, the Italian champion, on the front. Behind him, the Belgian champion, Wout Alleman. They are leading the field by 1 minute and 49 seconds on this stage. Speed Company Racing are going well in second place, and Key, they are quite well ahead of Toyota 91 Specialized in third. William Pirelli Factory enjoying a good day today. Canyon North Wave, the race leaders, 4 minutes and 24 down. Drama plenty.
Well, let's look at that 4 minutes 24 right now, because the 4 minutes 24 to William Pirelli is not as important as the time to Speed Company Racing, and with around about what looks like almost 3 minutes, really a 3 minute deficit, just under a 3 minute deficit to Speed Company Racing. They have 7 at the beginning of the day, so they've still got a 4 minute buffer on Virtual GC, so it could be very tight going into the trails, the final trails, going back into Coetzenburg and Stellenbosch, and it'll be all really important to see how Seerwald manages his energy and how Stozek manages his partner over the obstacles of the day, Jonkershoek Fire Road, and the climb up to the time check 7 in Jonkershoek. It's likely that the two will be able to manage themselves on the single track on the way down. They will be able to keep more or less the same sort of pace. They won't take too many risks, but they won't lose time hand over fist. But where they seem to be really struggling are on the climbs, and there's still a lot of climbing to go. We've got an entire day of climbing. In fact, we've got 76 kilometers and 2,700 meters of climbing. Just to put that into perspective, yesterday was 115 kilometers and 2,400 meters of climbing. So it's clearly that the race is highly concentrated climbing today on stage 6.
But we see yet again the speed company racing going very early in the race, and we have kind of seen them apply the same tactic a lot of the days. And yesterday they had different issues, and really didn't was in their favor. But it looks like today, if they can keep everything together, well, they look quite good for moving up in the overall.
They're flying down the Willie Pirelli team out of the first section of the Armageddon Trail in Jonkershoek. It's a truly spectacular trail built by Bennett Nell, who looks after these trails in Jonkershoek, with great support from the specialized group. And there's Speed Company Racing chasing
hard. Of them chasing
Yeah.
hard. They looks, you can just see from the body language there is an urgency to chasing hard, but they're not necessarily chasing after the leaders, the stage leaders. They are chasing away from Toyota 91 Specialized and of course Canyon Northwave. They sense weakness, they sense there's blood in the water with Andreas Seewald, and they're making it count now. They've been animators and we could say disruptors. They've been really putting it, they've been taking it to the other riders, and they did say at the very beginning, after that prologue, they're not here to take part, they're here to take over. And perhaps we were a little bit cynical about when we reacted to that, especially after a really short stage like the prologue. But they've proved that they have lived up to that. They've lived up to that statement.
Yeah, not just 1 or 2 days, but it feels like every single day they've been going so strong. So they are a serious threat for the overall lead right now.
Absolutely. Wout Alleman and Fabian Rabensteiner, they drop down onto the Zululand section. The trail does go straight on there, but it's not quite as technical as the Zululand section. A couple of jumps and berms for them to enjoy. As you see Alleman flying over them, he's clearly the man who enjoys the technical descents a little more than Rabensteiner. He's Rabensteiner, a marathon specialist, and Alleman just loving those trails. The yellow jersey still on the fire road, and this is how the virtual leaderboard looks right now. If the race were to stop now, they would hold on to those yellow jerseys, but their lead of 6 minutes and 54 would shrink to 4:28. 291 Specialized would also gain a little bit of time, 6:15 down. Really, it's between those three teams, and really this whole race, you feel, depends on what happens over the next hour and a half or so as they head towards the finish at Coetzenburg.
It really all comes down to whether the Speed Company Racing can keep it all together. I'm pretty sure they learned a tough lesson yesterday, both when it came to being super sharp, constantly. You have to be so focused all the time, really make sure that you constantly go the right way. And this point in the race, your whole system is just super fatigued, and that's when it's it's very risky that you miss the signs, but you need to stay more focused than ever.
With that beautiful rock face, so intelligently built into the trail, and the drone zone gives you a bird's eye view of this wonderful Armageddon trail in Jonkershoek. Yeah, it is going to be a race right to the end for Andreas Seewald and Martin Stossek. You catch a glimpse of them now on the Armageddon Trail. And Speed Company Racing are the team applying pressure. Most unexpectedly at the start of the week, they have one supporter in their team, and that is Lucas Baum's father in their single camper van, and they do their own mechanic work, or they did send their shocks off to be serviced, but otherwise the riders themselves are looking after their bikes. Very different scenario to this, the Toyota 91 Songo or Toyota 91 Specialized team, who have like Scott and a whole lot of other teams, a big backup crew looking after all their needs. So a new dynamic. This is Ravensteiner and his partner Alleman. Now they've come out the bottom of Zululand and they turn up again for a long diagonal drag up to the top of the route. Now Stefan is with us. Stefan, how are you going there? What are these two looking like?
Yeah, we're having the most fun of the week, I think. just amazing trails. We just rode down the Armageddon, which is an all-time favorite. It's a bit loose and dusty, but so much fun.
These two, Ravensteiner and Alleman, looking very, very strong today, targeting the stage win.
Yeah, I think so. They initiated.
Unfortunately, we not clean connectivity with Stefan just at that moment as they head up this climb. It's a drag of about 3 Ks, and then they'll turn right along the fire road again, and another descent down more mazy, enjoyable single track. Toyota 91 Specialized there. Just caught a glimpse of Matt Beers, who'll know these trails like the back of his hand. He lives in Cape Town but spends a lot of time out here riding and learning these trails. Enjoying them. You really have to ride them. They're spectacular trails. They're challenging and they engage you, and at high speed they are an absolute thrill, I'm sure. I would imagine.
They are, they truly are. Of course, it's a little bit different when you have to race them, especially this late in the week. You don't hit the trails as smoothly as if it was on day one and you were fully recovered. But now we'll have a lot of tired bodies and arms and minds out there. But still, especially towards a long week like this, it feels a little bit like getting a treat towards the end of the race. Yeah, I mean, we've heard that Andreas Servold is struggling with the effects of a rib injury he suffered earlier in the week. And that sort of thing, you have the injury and you think you can get over it, and you know they won that stage on stage 1 and they were in yellow jerseys, so you just, I suppose, hope and believe that you'll get over it and get riding strongly again. It's not quite turning out that way for him. No, but one of the key things in this race really is never ever ever give up. Things can look very dark, but it can all turn around just in a short period of time. So super important, never ever ever give up, because things will turn around again.
We can see there from the helicopter just geographically how big that gap is, and it'll prey on the minds of Matthew Beers and Christopher Blevins. That Speed Company Racing really are getting it all on today, because it's just we're running out of days. In fact, if they want to make inroads into that lead, and if they want to live up to their promise of taking the race, taking it apart, I think it was a little adaptation of their of what they said. We adapted what they said. They don't want to take part, and we thought, well, let's just change it a little bit and call it taking apart. But actually what they really said was they want to take over, and it's clear that they are taking over. Gersmeyer and Orr from William Pirelli Factory Racing. This is a team that we've seen throughout the history of the Absa Cape Epic towards certainly the last few years. We've always seen them animate the latter half of the race. Gersmeyer as well. Gersmeyer has won the grand finale before. Into Mirandal, dramatic stage, attacked and ripped the race apart, and we expect to see him also animate today perhaps. And let's also remember that tomorrow is the grand finale and a highly prestigious stage to win. We saw Nino Schurter taking an easy day, another easy day, if there is such a thing, at the Absa Cape Epic. And no doubt he'll be saving his energy for tomorrow as well. So tomorrow is going to be an exciting day, but today seems like it's one for the breakaway for the compatriots of the team we see right now. And that would be Alleman and Ravensteiner, the two respective national champions in the marathon discipline, both wearing their marathon colors and their national colors. Excited to see how they last throughout the stage. They had a big lead in that at that time check, and we saw them at the 47-kilometer mark. They were already quite a couple of minutes ahead, and we're going to be keeping a very close eye at the time check at around about the 58-kilometer mark to see how much progress they've made.
Super good day for the Villiers Pirelli team in general. We have the team number 1 in the lead, a comfortable lead on the stage so far, and we have their second team with Cameron Orr and Daniel Geismar here in third place today. So good day for this group of riders.
Yeah, we've seen in the past, Willie Pirelli, they were under a different trade name, but the likes of Samuele Porro, Michele Casagrande, Ravenstein has been here before. And they've, at this part of the race, they've often come into their own and found their way into the onto the podium. So they're in familiar territory, and not only in the terrain, but also in the stage race. Two teams inside the top three, but very much two races happening in front of us here. We've got the race for the stage, and that's Willie Pirelli seem to have that as their goal today. Ravenstein and Alleman having started the day at 50 minutes adrift. Gesma and Orr, Cameron Orr, who's riding his first, the Northern Irishman, they are just less than 9 seconds behind their teammates. So they see an opportunity to gain some time here. Scott Stram are 4 minutes ahead of both these teams, so they'd have to ride really, really well to get the better of Schurter and his partner Forster today. But then the other race, of course, is the general classification, and that's the big focus here for the Canyon Northwave, Toyota 91 Specialized and Speed Company Racing, and that's happening behind this lead pair. Speed Company Racing, here they go. I think they have lived up to every promise and every expectation here. They've certainly taking over and taking apart this race in emphatic style. Yes, they might not win it, but they've certainly garnered great support and following, and justifiably so. They really are animated, exciting riders. Lucas Baum, a former junior world champion, he won that title in Maritzburg in 2014, and Georg Egger. They've been friends since they were teenagers, racing against and with one another in Germany, and here they are racing in the biggest and the most competitive mountain bike stage race in the world, in the Absa Cape Epic, and taking it to the established hierarchy of the Absa Cape Epic, the likes of Toyota 91 Specialized and the Bulls and Scott Stram. They are showing them a clean pair of wheels. It's fantastic to watch.
Well, it's just to remind ourselves about the time gaps. Willie Pirelli's Ravenstein and Alleman, they are up ahead, and that was, of course, at the 47-kilometer mark before they climbed all the way up the Jonkershoek Fire Road. So a lot has happened since then. We are unable to, just from the sheer remoteness of the regions, we're unable to bring you live time checks. But last time check was at the 47-kilometer mark, and we're going to be seeing exactly what that time check is at the 55-kilometer mark. But with Willie Pirelli 1 minute 49 ahead of Speed Company Racing, and looking back all importantly at Canyon Northwave at 4:24. That's around 2.5 minutes ahead, and with that buffer of 7 minutes, it's starting to chip away at it, but they still look like they're in control of the race, although they are very much on the back foot, the German and the Czech rider.
This is the Red Phoenix Trail as they drop down into the base of the Jonkershoek Valley. Different sort of trail, different type of surface to Armageddon, a little bit more flowing, not too many switchbacks, and not as rocky in certain sections as the Armageddon Trail. Quite a bit of braking holes here, but they've been working really hard to maintain this trail. It's difficult in summer with the dry, dusty conditions. There's lots of riding on these trails, so they do get beaten up, but Bennett Nell and his team have been working so hard in order to get these trails in great condition for these riders. And this is the lower end of the Red Phoenix Trail. They'll drop right down to the Circle Road, the Circle Putt as it's known here, and then across onto the Valley Trail before crossing the river. This is the leaders as they're heading down to the bottom of Red Phoenix.
We see Alleman in the Belgian National Championships jersey of the marathon discipline, and Ravensteiner in the Italian, and the riders are living up to their promise. We expected great things from them in the latter half of the week, and that lead, it looks comfortable, although it's their real biggest threat is the battle for GC going on, because they know how fierce that is and they know how close it is. And of course, with Speed Company Racing aiming to get a gap, Speed Company Racing aren't necessarily chasing Willie Pirelli. They're trying to escape the likes of Toyota 91 Specialized, and of course put more time into Canyon Northwave.
But knowing the way they race, they're no doubt also looking, well, you know, if we can win the stage, we'll certainly make time on the Canyon Northwave.
It'll be a good bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, just riding very, very strong. I'm impressed with. It seems like every single day, it almost looks like they're getting stronger and stronger. They have this ability to dig really deep, to go on the attack, and still manage to recover from it. I think yesterday we saw them having to put in 2 or 3 huge efforts. First they went on the attack, then they went on the attack again, then they had to catch back after taking a wrong turn, and still, yeah, they finished within a reasonable time from the in the end.
And they had a fall. Georgega had a very heavy fall. He had dirt all the way up his left side of his back, so that was in the perhaps a little bit of panic in order to get back, as you might have heard at the start of our show. Lucas Baum saying yes, there was quite a lot of blue air yesterday. They let it all out after the frustration of taking the wrong, missing the turn off, and they put that aside and they're focusing all that energy on trying to claw back time on the general classification. And well, if they get to within, I don't know, 2-3 minutes tomorrow, it's the shortest stage of the week, but my word, it could be the most dramatic grand finale day of all time.
Well, we've seen on the road cycling that certainly in the Tour de France that the last day is perhaps you could say a bit of a procession and then a sprint at the end. There will be no such thing tomorrow at the Absa Cape Epic. We can absolutely guarantee that. Not only with the likes of Nino Schurter and the protagonists looking for a stage win, no doubt that's who we've got our money on. But of course, the general classification battle will still be super close after today. There's no doubt about it. And we've seen even in 2007, as far back as 2007, the race was very close. The race changed shoulders. The leaders' jerseys changed shoulders in the men's category many times. And it was all down to that grand finale. Jakob Fuglsang and Roel Paulsen, they were in second spot and they attacked on every climb. And eventually they called a truce, but only late in the stage. Acknowledged that the Bulls were the better team on that particular year. They came back and won in 2008, Paulsen and Fuglsang. Fuglsang then went onto the road cycling, a very successful campaigner on the road, having won 2 monuments. And so a bit of a breeding ground for great cyclists. And fantastic that, in fact, Fuglsang even showed then that the skills do transfer between mountain biking and road biking and other sports too. And be keen to know there seems to be a foot out there. Let's just hope that there is nothing wrong. No, they seem to be back on the gas.
This is a relatively...
Georg Eger, they seem to be on the pace again.
Yeah, it's a flattish section known as Valley 2 along the base of the valley with the river on the right-hand side. And then they'll cross over the river the other side. But you can see they are holding nothing back. And their synergy has been remarkable all the way through. Of all the teams, pretty much, they have not left each other alone at any stage.
This is very true.
Yeah, it looks like they're super well matched and knowing each other since childhood. Of course, they've been doing so much riding together, so it's actually the perfect lead into a race like this, where a factor like knowing each other and being able to work together plays a massive role.
It's testimony to the fact that the 2-person team dynamic could be one of the most important components of performance at this race. We know already that the Speed Company Racing team are not, they don't have as deep a backup team or support team, you could say. They don't have masseurs, they don't have physios. They've really, there's one person who's helping them do everything. And as we talked about earlier, they are repairing their own bikes. Some minor repairs, of course, minor services. But still, it seems that the most important component is a very attacking attitude for these two. And of course, that all-important dynamic, that symbiosis between the 2 riders.
And also a factor like they're going into this particular race for the very first time. Sometimes that gives you a little bit extra motivation, fire and adrenaline. I can remember that from my my own career, that often whenever I did some sort of race for the first time, you know, the motivation was just, and the firepower was just a little bit bigger because, it just made the adrenaline pump a lot.
So looking at the trails now, we are with the race leaders, the stage leaders of the day. And on the front is Armin Rabensteiner, and followed by Wout Alleman, the Belgian national champion. And they took a bit of an opportunity early on in the stage to make an attack. They were initially with Toyota 91 Specialized and Speed Company Racing. They have left them behind with an acceleration. And now they're out on their own. looking to keep that gap. It's a great day to do it with all of the single track that we see, and not the open roads that where typically other teams could collaborate and cooperate and use those open roads to power ahead. It is a little bit more difficult to close these gaps on the single track, so they've attacked at exactly the right point. They used that as a springboard, the open or the early parts of the race as a springboard to launch their campaign for a stage win.
Yeah, it is the perfect day to go on the attack, because behind them there's a lot of tacticals for the overall going on. You can rest assured that Toyota 901 Specialized will be looking to Speed Company Racing, and with those two teams having more an eye on each other, it's the perfect moment to go on the attack.
There are Toyota 91 Specialized, and look who's just behind them. Hans Becking and Jose Diaz, they just hanging on all the time. In fourth place overall are the Buff Mega Mode team, 20 minutes adrift, but they're just keeping themselves in the frame. Their closest rivals behind them are Team Bulls, who are 7 minutes adrift of them. And hanging on to the back wheel of these two riders, Chris Blevins and his partner Matt Beers, the defending champion, is not a bad thing as they snake along the Valley 2 trail across this. You caught an image a little bit earlier of the race leaders on the Bosluis climb, and they're doing one section of the Bosluis climb before heading up on the district road up to the top of the Firehut descent, which will be the last of the trails in Jonkershoek before heading back towards Stellenbosch. It's a fast, short, but very, very hard day this for all these riders, particularly with the mountain climbing coming at the end of this hugely demanding week. Across the river, a right turn, a little kick, and they'll head up onto the Bosluis single track very, very shortly. So these two teams, Toyota 91 Specialized and Buff Mega Mode, just maybe trying to do a bit of work here to close the gap. Buff Mega Mode's Hans Becking moving up alongside the big strong teammate of his, whilst the indications are that Beers and Blevins just biding their time for the time being. They are 13 minutes clear of this pair on GC, so not a real threat, that's for sure, with so little time to go left on this stage. They're on to the lowest reaches of the Bosluis single track climb.
Well, we saw Hans Becking and Jose Diaz overtake the Toyota 91 Specialized team. And just looking back, just to remind ourselves, we always like to see what kind of progress the riders are making, and reading maybe a little bit too much into it, but let's look at Toyota 91 Specialized at that time check. They were 3 minutes 44 down. It seems that Buff Megamo, who were behind, and Buff Megamo were actually riding with Canyon Northwave at the time of that time check. It seems that Buff Megamo are on the move. They are moving forward in the stage today, and they're on a good day, but it's either that or Toyota 91 Specialized are on a bad day. So all will be revealed when they reach that 54 kilometer mark at the next time check. We'll know a little bit more about how the race is unfolding, but it's clear that Buff Megamo are on the move, and Canyon Northwave are still very much on the back foot, losing more time to Speed Company Racing.
Rappensteiner and Allemann just heading up the Fire Road climb to the top of the Firehut climb, Firehut descent. There is an option here of going up a single track climb, but the route director deciding to use the Fire Road as an option. And now you'll get the full perspective of the climb. It's not a particularly steep climb. It's a drag with a switchback at the top to take them onto the upper section. We with the race leaders, William Pirelli, on stage 6 of the Absa Cape Epic, a 76 kilometer stage with 2,400 meters of climbing today. And Fabian Rappensteiner, the Italian champion, the marathon champion on the front, and Wouter Allemann, the Belgian marathon champion. And they are attacking today's stage in pursuit of a stage win. They are not a factor in the general classification, the overall race breakdown. They are some 50 minutes down as they take this little switchback onto the upper reaches of the fire road that will take them to the Firehut descent. Stefan Sam is the man on the Bulls Media e-bike there. Stefan, they're climbing very impressively, this pair, looking good.
Yes, it doesn't look like they are slowing down. A little bit maybe Wout Alleman from the body language. Not as strong as in the early parts of the stage, but still performing very well together as a team.
They keep looking down. Can you see the other?
They keep looking down.
Can you see the other riders?
We can see them. We can see them line up, especially also you can see the chopper always. So you can see them line up and crawling up the single track. But it's very difficult to make up time gaps for the riders.
A short, sharp stage.
So they're pretty much in the blind.
Yeah.
So no relaxing time.
Well, we just catch a glimpse of the speed that Stefan Sam is riding behind the
28.
This pair. They are absolutely charging up that climb, and I think that most mere mortals would struggle to reach even 15 kilometers an hour. So just to get an indication of how much power the Willia Pirelli team are putting down now, and also putting down the power very much so, and very much in sync. Speed Company Racing's Egger and Baum, another day of animating for these guys, and it's really. It's great to see this from a racing point of view and from a fan's point of view, because the old guard of the race seem to have fallen by the wayside. We've got the newcomers, the likes of Matthew Beers, Christopher Blevins, and they are really putting huge pressure on the Canyon Northwave team, and of course Willia. I talked about it already, but Willia Pirelli team, they are always on the gas towards the latter half, and they are not disappointing us. But all eyes on Speed Company Racing and that time check. Keen to know exactly how much time they've made up on their rivals, the Canyon Northwave team, the team in yellow. And of course, we are seeing two races out here today. We're seeing the race for the stage, and we're also seeing the race for the GC. And the race for the GC seems to be going on in about third, fourth, fifth spot. And those are the riders we'll be looking out for. So it's going to be difficult for us to cross back from team to team. But this team right now have all to gain for this gap that they've got right now. If they can get up to the Willia Pirelli team and cooperate with them, that will help them gain even more time on yellow jersey. Here we are with the yellow jersey right now. The picture's breaking up a little bit, but it's clear we can get a good idea of the body language. Seerbolt is being allowed to set the pace so as not to create gap. That symbiosis working really well. They're taking a bit of a takeover there. It looks like Martin Stozek is just helping him with the pace a little bit, but really important that they are still very much in sync and the symbiosis of the team. Even though they're under major pressure, they're still doing okay.
And now we're here with the Speed Company Racing again, and we saw they just set up both of them at the same time, having a little bit of a drink. Even though today is on paper a relatively short stage, you still need to be super careful with hydration and with nutrition, because if you empty yourself today without refueling, tomorrow it can be one of the hardest days ever. But we also, just before, what we saw with the Speed Company Racing when they climbed up the fire road was the body language. They were just on it. They were hammering away out of the saddle. It almost looks like, just based on the body language, that maybe they're starting to close the gap just a little bit to the leading team here.
They are on the last little section of Fire Road before heading down the Firehut, the descent, the last of the single trails inside Jonkershoek. There's a river trail running outside the gate that they'll traverse before heading into Stellenbosch, but this is the last. They're heading to the last of the downhill single track sections. Bit sandy up there as well, which makes for some tricky riding, as we saw yesterday. Some of the riders, in fact, Ravensteiner was involved in a little off with Munoz Moreno of Team DMT, who is not riding today, Tiago Ferreira's partner, one of many casualties. In fact, just by the start today, 384 of the original teams are still riding in the Absa Cape Epic. It's an attritional race all the way down the field. It doesn't matter who you are and how well you prepare. The race can upset your best laid plans, that's for sure.
But of course, it's always a shame when you see the race being too affected by people having to withdraw. So yeah, we saw also last year some of the some of the teams, like the Canyon North Wave, having to withdraw on, I think it was day 3, just when they were gaining momentum. So it is part of the game, and every time you come to this race, you know how to prepare, and every time you're here, you get wiser and wiser. So it's it makes you, gives you more experience and sets you up better for a potential next Cape Epic.
Dropping down onto the last of the single trail sections here in Jonkershoek, the Firehut Trail. There's a section a little bit higher up that's really technical, but these two sections flow. We've got lovely switchbacks and a couple of little jumps as well in them. A really wonderful, expressive piece of trail. Remember that Jonkershoek was bedeviled by fires just over a year ago, believe it or not, and the rehabilitation of these trails has been nothing short of spectacular. The time that not just trail builder Bennett Nell and all other trail builders in the area got together to work here, but volunteers and all manner of people came and helped out to restore these trails to their current superb condition. Really, really good work. So they fly down here. Ravensteiner on the front now. Alleman following his wheel, and Stefan Sam grinning from ear to ear behind on the e-bike. Absolutely loving it. He lived in Stellenbosch for a couple of years, Stefan, so he knows these trails very, very well, of course. Also, of course, a 3-time winner of the Absa Cape Epic in his time with Carl Platt.
We talked about the trails, and you could pick almost any trail in the Stellenbosch region, and there's a story behind it, and we've got some great stories. Certainly you saw us head through the Eerste Valley. There's a great story behind the Eerste Valley, and it's all about the upliftment of the community, and a great story there where they're creating a future where the youth from disadvantaged communities can create what they describe as a better future, and a balance between a balance in life, and just using the trails as a great opportunity, as a springboard for uplifting communities. And we see here the Italian national champion of the marathon discipline, Fabian Ravensteiner, a well-known campaigner at the Absa Cape Epic, with a great record here, and we expect to see good things of them throughout. Even we expected more from them yesterday, but they've had a couple of difficult times. It's clear that today they are having no difficulty at all holding off the world's best race mountain bike stage races.
Look left shortly under the bottom section of the Firehut Trail. Another fast, furious descent here. Not too rocky at all. Nice smooth trails, big wide berms, and a chance to let the brakes go. Wonderful racing by this pair as they chase a stage victory into Stellenbosch. We're getting down to the business end here. Once they leave Jonkershoek, it's, well, as the road goes, about 7 or 8 kilometers to Coetzenburg. They don't follow the road. They'll follow a riverside trail and then a farm road before a brand new piece of single track that very, very few people have ridden at all in the Jonkersdrift estate. So that is going to be a challenge. And in that, there's one very, very steep climb before we get to the final kicker that we saw yesterday. So it's still work to be done for these riders. They'll know they've been in a big mountain bike stage race or stage when they get to the finish today, that's for sure. Ravensteiner and Alleman. Alleman has been in some pretty decent form at a second place finish in a big stage race earlier this year in Europe, and so he's brought that form here. Like the Speed Company racing men have put some excellent preparation work into their lead into the Absa Cape Epic.
It's clear that this was their target, because the form that they've seen, really, if you're really outriding some of the very best in the sport, the Matthew Beerses and the Christopher Blevinses of the world, and of course Nino Schurter, they did have issues. However, if you're riding at this level, they've clearly targeted the Absa Cape Epic in 2022 as the peak of their season, and we're back with the stage leaders at the moment. Just a little bit about Stellenbosch. We've actually been here 5 times before the Absa Cape Epic, and 2004, the very inaugural event, we were in Stellenbosch, and just looking down to the list of winners in Stellenbosch, Christoph Sauser has the most wins coming into Stellenbosch. Annika, he won one stage in Stellenbosch by our records.
I think so too, yeah. The year I was racing with Anna van der Brecken.
But Christoph has never won a World Cup in Stellenbosch like that.
No. I don't think
No.
The double.
Here we go. This is the checkpoint here at the bottom of the Firehut Trail. They'll drop through here. Ravensteiner and his partner Wout Alleman straight through and head for the exit gate of Jonkershoek. The race leaders on this stage 6.
And I think what we just caught a little glimpse of here was at the side of the road, a sign saying 10 k's to the finish line. And it's always, when you, if I'm not mistaken, definitely there was a sign, is counting down the kilometers to the finish line. And they will come towards the the end of the race or the end of the stage. And as a rider, being out there in the front, you have done so much hard work. It's quite delightful to start seeing those signs, because then you know you're getting closer and closer to your ultimate goal.
And Speed Company Racing's ultimate goal is a place a little higher on the general classification, and they're making every pedal stroke count here. This pair, Lukas Baum and Georg Geiger from Germany. They've been just such entertainers. They've done the unexpected. They've gone contrary to normal tactics here at the Absa Cape Epic. They've attacked when everyone's thought wasn't quite the right thing to do, but they've plowed their own trail here, and it's been fantastic to watch. And they are giving every effort into trying to put themselves into position to maybe have a shot at the yellow jersey on the final day. Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? It actually all depends on the Canyon North Wave team. We see that it looks like in that team it's Sewald who's struggling at the moment, and the big question mark will be, how does he get through today's stage, and how will he recover for tomorrow, and how will he ride tomorrow? That is super key. It's going to play a massive role for the overall here.
Well, we're looking at the 62-kilometer time check now, and Willia Pirelli, they're having a great day out. They're maintaining that gap like we predicted. With all of the single track they've had to contend with. Of course, we have seen some open road climbs, but with the single track, they've maintained that advantage of around about a minute and a half, just under a minute and a half over Speed Company Racing. They take a little bit of time to get some fuel in. Of course, we spoke about it earlier. Annika said that you're not only eating for today, you're eating for tomorrow and drinking for tomorrow to make sure you refuel so that tomorrow is you're still able to perform at a peak. And all eyes on that time check to see how far back the third place team, and the fact the leaders, the overall general classification leaders, we're going to be keeping an eye on how they're doing on the stage, and also on overall. We have a virtual leaderboard, no doubt, when it comes up, with all of the racing fans, the fans of Canyon North Wave, looking to see how much damage control they are going to need to initiate on their campaign. They still have tomorrow to go, one more stage after today, but they'll take it kilometre by kilometre. They won't worry too much about tomorrow. They'll be looking to just limit the damage today. And we're looking at now Daniel Gesmeyer and Cameron Orr of the Willia Pirelli factory team. You could say we were never able to say whether or not one team or the other was the backup team, and whether one team was the leading team of this team. They've always kept the fans and they've kept us guessing. And they seem to arrive with two more or less evenly matched teams, and I guess that's their race tactic. Everyone's got a different approach to the Absa Cape Epic, and their approach is definitely to keep to let the trails decide, is what they say.
Cameron Orr was a real cross-country racer, second in the British Championships last year, so he loves those trails, that's for sure. Gesmeyer, of course, a seasoned marathon racer with a fantastic record, both here at the Absa Cape Epic and around the world as a stage racer. So here are Buff Megamo, Hans Becking and Jose Diaz, fourth place overall, and seemingly fourth place on the trails as well today as they head towards the finish at Coetzenburg. Another sort of solid day from them. They've not been able to shoot the lights out through this week, but last year they won 3 stages, and they've not quite been able to dominate in that manner. But it's been a solid performance by them, as they've ridden stronger and stronger on this stage. They've got past the Toyota 91 Specialized, and they were with them at the base of this valley before the climb. And further back, you can just catch a glimpse of the yellow jerseys now with 91 Toyota 91 Songo Specialized. So there is the change. The yellow jerseys perhaps getting a little stronger, and Beers and Blevins perhaps taking the heat.
So we can see here the yellow jerseys are keeping a close eye on Toyota 91 Specialized. I believe they will be quite happy riding with them, because then they know exactly where they are. But the thing is, they have no idea or feeling where Speed Company Racing is, and they are far up the road.
5 minutes up the road.
So 5 minutes to Willia Pirelli, but most notably they are 3.5 minutes, over 3.5 minutes to Egger and Baum, Speed Company Racing. It's a remarkable performance by these two Germans. The fact that they've just come in every single day and they've attacked perhaps a bit too much. Conventional wisdom would say that they went a bit early yesterday, and they did pay for that effort, not only with the wrong turning. It was unfortunate, but it's really all credit to the Speed Company Racing team, who just are the absolute disruptors. They're brash in the group. They aren't they're here to race. They're not here to make friends, and they have really taken the race apart. And the big surprises of this year, Speed Company Racing and the established outfits of the Toyota 91 Specialized outfit. And of course, Canyon Northwave arrived with a much more bolstered backup team, and of course the support team. They have left nothing to chance. Buff Megamo had a really good day. In fact, they had a good year in 2021, last year, 5 months ago. And they've they've been on the podium this year, but they haven't won a stage yet. But they look to be improving a little bit throughout the day. They had a bad day yesterday. They lost plenty of time, put themselves more or less out of contention for the top three. 20 minutes back. But that is the virtual GC leaderboard. So it's clear right now, if the race were to stop now, Canyon Northwave would still have a comfortable buffer over Speed Company Racing. But 3 minutes 23, it's not a lot of time if you've got damaged ribs, and if you're ailing, if you're losing 2 or 3 minutes on a stage like this, which is only 76 kilometers long. I'll be looking to limit the damage and hopefully recover today and live to fight another day tomorrow.
They've turned off what is colloquially known as the Kirikwak section, and they at Glen Connor have turned left into a section that very, very few mountain bikers will have ridden of recent times in Stellenbosch. Way back, this was a trail from Stellenbosch all the way along the river into Jonkershoek, but it has been closed off for many years. But opened up for this race, a special trail built on the left-hand side, not specifically for this race, but opened up for this and built by the multiple exterior former world champion Conrad Stolz of Stolz Trails. He's one of the many great trail builders in this part of the world. And Stefan, you with us?
Yes, I'm with us.
Yeah, that you can wipe the grin off your face. Now you've got to do some work. You've got to go uphill after all that lovely single track.
No, uphill is good for me. The flats are a problem because the guys are so fast. We just hit the flats with minimum 45 kilometers per hour, and that at the end of a brutal stage, it's really impressive.
Now this is a trail you've never ridden, I'm sure.
No, for sure not. This is brand new stuff.
And it's high up above the Jonkersdrift Estates. Looks steep. I mean, the camera doesn't give us a real perspective. How steep is this?
Yeah, it's about 10 to 15%, which is okay. But the terrain, like the ground, is still very soft in patches, so it needs to be ridden in.
Yeah,
but probably after the day it will be okay.
Absolutely. That's Stellenbosch Mountain up ahead of them, so they haven't got too far to go. And this pair have a lead of 1.5 minutes over the team chasing general classification Speed Company Racing. But they look as though they've got one thing in mind here, Ravenstein and Alleman. Although Alleman on the front there, taking a bit of
he's pushing now again.
Looking stronger.
He's looking stronger. Seems he has recovered a bit, but also once you pass the 10-kilometer sign and it's just the last little uphill, this one, you get more motivation.
And we're just looking at the speed.
For today is close.
The speed of the riders right now, almost up to 15 kilometers an hour on such a steep section. The riders are absolutely charging. They make it look so easy, but absolutely it is not. With the e-bike, of course, having a few extra 100 watts just to keep up. It's clear that Alleman is absolutely on the pace. And we're back to the women's section. It seems like a carbon copy. We said it's a carbon copy of yesterday's stage. The two overall general classification teams in the first two spots are together, and it's a bit of a stalemate, although it's clear that they are not going slowly, charging on that climb. And looking at the split times at the 45-kilometer mark, BMC MTB Racing are 5 minutes and 51 back, with Private Client Holdings also holding steady. They are looking to get up to 4th overall, with an ailing Ariane Luti losing plenty of time early on in the stage, and of course yesterday losing 11 minutes, the Simtech team.
And we can see these two teams here, they're matching each other quite nicely. It's not quite obvious that one team is much stronger than the other. If that was the case, I'm quite sure that we would not see them together. So they're matching each other quite well. In the recent days, we saw that there was a little bit of a difference in strength within those two teams. It looks like at one point Mariska was a little bit the weak one, and also Sophia in the specialized team. And what we saw from their team partners was that they were capable of transferring some of that extra power and energy they had to help their partner. And I think in this case or scenario right now, if one in the team is feeling stronger than the other, actually you can help your partner, and like that you can open up a gap to the other team. But we will see fireworks very soon in the women's race as well.
And we're seeing fireworks certainly in the men's team already on this second last major climb. And we talked about the gradient. Stefan said that it's between 10 and 15%. It does max out at 17%, which is very steep when the trail surfaces are not smooth and the traction is not great. But we're going to see them get over a little bit of a plateau, a little bit of a lumpy section, and then the descent into the Coetzenburg Stadium. They'd have one last little kicker to go. And taking a look back, we can see just how far back down the trail the Speed Company Racing guys are. A little bit of a gap between them, perhaps just leaving a little bit of a gap so that they can keep their own rhythm, ride their own pace. But symbiosis we saw earlier on, and we always just, it's one of the things we do look for when we look at the teams and how they're riding and look at their body language, just to try and gauge how they're feeling, is just how symbiotic they are as a team. But it's clear that this is a steep section. Each rider will most likely take their own pace and guide themselves and guide their own way through the tricky trails that we see here, especially trails this steep.
And also at this point, you can rest assured that these two riders that we see in picture now, they're not going to throw everything away. So they might just hold back just a little bit on this descent, because it is still a very fresh and new trail, meaning there's a lot of rocks popping out, and leaving just a little bit of a gap to number two rider should, well, it could be a good idea to leave a little bit of a gap to the leading rider, just simply because then vision is better and there's less chance of hitting a sharp rock.
Well, beautiful trail high up on the slopes of Stellenbosch Mountain, making their way back to Stellenbosch here. As I said, it's a virgin trail in terms of an event, and riders, as many riders as this riding it. It's been around for about 2 years, but not open to the public. But most of the trails in Stellenbosch are, and the Stellenbosch Trail Fund have done a wonderful job in maintaining the trails, not just the cycling trails, the footpaths, the hiking trails and the like, all the way along the Eerste River, and they really do a fantastic job in ensuring that outdoor activities like mountain biking, trail running and the like, and hiking are done in the most beautiful places in this Western Cape. It really is lovely. Alleman tapping out the rhythm. David Ravensteiner after looking for a second stage win, and in fact on the verge perhaps of a second stage win.
We saw when you talked about the rhythm, that rhythm is an extremely high rhythm. They're topping 20, 21, 22 kilometers an hour on this section, and as we said, they make it look really easy. Their bodies are steady, but they are out of the saddle and they're pushing the pace. They are letting up. This is riders at their maximum, at fever pitch, as we reach the finale of the stage 6 of the Absa Cape Epic. It's a prestigious stage to win, and a great opportunity that these two riders took early on in the stage to make a breakaway, to take advantage of perhaps 2 teams or 3 teams watching each other on the general classification. And it's all to play for now. And with that minute-and-a-half gap and Speed Company Racing on their own, it looks likely that barring mishap, this team right here, the Belgian and the Italian, both in their respective national championship jerseys, will take today's line honors.
And if it stays as it is now, they may well move up a couple of places on general classification. They're 8th at the moment. But Mbuko Typedev and Scott Stram, Mbuko Typedev are around 13 minutes on GC ahead of them. Scott Stram just 4 minutes. Both of those teams are over, well, Mbuko Typedev 12 minutes down, and Scott Stram, Schurt and Foster 14 minutes down. So there's a good chance that these two will jump into 5th place, 6th place at least, behind the Bulls, who are at the moment, well, nearly 23 minutes behind this pair, so quite ahead of this pair, so quite a long way ahead. But the motivation is for the stage win today, but the result of this performance will be an improvement on general classification for Wout Alleman and Fabian Ravensteiner.
It's highly likely that they won't be looking too much towards that, and generally the top 3 spots overall are the coveted spots, because that's time on the podium and your name and lights. And certainly if you want to get your name and lights, a stage win of the Absa Cape Epic is highly prestigious, and that'll be their target for the day. That'll be their primary goal is to win the stage. And just spare a thought for the stage winners yesterday, Mbuko Typedev, Peter de Toy and Marco Joubert. They've lost 12 minutes today to the leading riders on the stage today, but they of course had a fantastic day yesterday. They emptied the tanks and winning the stage, an all-African win in the men's category.
I must say, first look at this trail, it really is cool. It's a really nice looking trail up above the road that winds its way to Jonkershoek and now into the vineyards, and they will not quite be able to see the race finish village, but it's just over that shoulder of the hill ahead of them there, so they are very, very close to the finish. A little bit of work to be done though still.
And what a day these two riders are having out, grabbing the chance when the two other teams were kind of looking more to each other. They realized, okay, this is our moment. We need to go. And here's one of the two other teams that I was talking about, Toyota 91 Specialized. They have a tight battle for the overall battle. They were so close in GEC with only a few seconds apart. So it's really open for that second spot on the overall GC. But the thing is, this is not a good situation for them, because Speed Company Racing is yet again carrying a lot of speed, and they are far up the road right now.
Yes, definitely the Matthew Beers and Christopher Livens are losing time to Speed Company Racing, and clearly the stronger riders on the day. And we're really keen to know what's up with the yellow jerseys and where they are on the stage. We know that Andreas Seewald, the marathon world champion, was struggling today. He'd damaged his ribs earlier on in the week, and today it seems to be all catching up with the German rider. And of course, again, they've still got a comfortable lead in the overall general classifications, almost 7 minutes. And that's looking under threat today. At the last time check before this climb, before this tricky, steep and single track climb, a new section of the race, it's it hadn't come down that much. They always not lost, but they've still got to get past the last big obstacle of the day and keep the damage to a minimum.
Yeah, brilliant fight unfolding here. Look at this as they fly down this trail. And there is the first team. So Ravensteiner and Alleman. And, well, the chase group is Speed Company Racing. They're the team that seek to benefit most out of the general classification here. If they're able to close that gap, well, they've probably closed it by about 2 or 3 minutes on Canyon Northway, but they'll need a bit more than that. And this pair are heading towards a stage victory. Fabian Ravensteiner and Wout Alleman of William Pirelli.
Now we see them wearing different jerseys, and we've talked about it already a lot, that they're the respective champions in their discipline. And normally the teams are expected to wear exactly the same kit, or at least highly similar kit. And today, of course, you see them in their national. That does form an exception if you are the national champion in your discipline. You get to wear your very proud moment where you get to wear your national colours.
Indeed, and now we're approaching the finish line, and these riders will know the course very soon, because we have that little kicker that took a lot of victims yesterday, and it's soon to be approached. Luckily, it seems like these two riders here have a comfortable gap. They don't need to worry too much about having to fight out a tight battle up that little kicker. They can approach it on their own, and actually I think very soon they will be on it just around this little left-hand turn, and then it's the final kicker of the day.
And this is the chasing team, Speed Company Racing, Georg Egger and Lucas Baum. They have been the igniters, they have been the firelighters throughout this week, and they haven't disappointed again today as they chase an unlikely glory here at their very first Absa Cape Epic. Quite spectacular. I see both of them are not wearing gloves now. Lucas Baum was wearing gloves early in the week.
Maybe it's a personal preference, and maybe it's getting too hot. You need to maybe ask him about that. And then quite interesting, we got the information on our social media channels that the Speed Company Racing, actually this was not a massive goal for them, this race, because they struggled to find the fundings to go. And only last minute they got the fundings, and now they're here, and they're just absolutely killing it here. They're going so well. So a lot of teams, they have a different lead-in to this race. Now they're actually just cresting this little kicker climb. It will be downhill from here, and you can see they know they have it. They're already starting to celebrate a bit.
Yeah, a little high five at the youngster standing trailside there from Fabian Rabensteiner as they fly down this last little gravel road and past the Stone Pines and in towards Coetzenburg and glory on stage 6 of the Absa Cape Epic. A win for Bart Alleman, and Fabian Rabensteiner drops the foot just to make sure it's safe and sound around that last sketchy corner. And a look from Alleman to say, come on, we've done this. We've got a couple of 100 meters, and we have put our names in lights as we wanted to do at the Absa Cape Epic. Willia Pirelli have really taken this stage by the scruff of the neck. They did so on the very first climb up Botmaskop. They showed their intentions by attacking up there. They were caught eventually on the descent on the backside of Banhoek, but managed to escape again and have not been seen since. They have been outstanding. Not far behind them, Speed Company Racing, holding nothing back. Their goals are a little different to those of Alleman and Rabensteiner. The stage win is not what they're chasing. They're chasing time. Time against Canyon Northwave, who are in the yellow jerseys. Zegger just gives Baum a last little push down this descent. Every second for them will be of such value. On the green lawns, on the grass fields of Coetzenburg, it is Wout Alleman, the champion of Belgium, and the champion of Italy on his wheel, Fabian Rabensteiner, and they are absolutely over the moon with this performance. They're going to take a stage victory here, a second stage win for Fabian Rabensteiner. He won in 2018 in the grand finale in Val de Vie with Michele Casagrande. This time it's into Stellenbosch and Coetzenburg, a prestigious stage, 76 kilometers. It's done and dusted for Fabian Rabensteiner and Wout Alleman of Willia Pirelli. They turn in and celebrate a wonderful performance. They took it by the horns and they have dominated the stage. Victory to Willia Pirelli in 3 hours 16 minutes. Rabensteiner and Alleman, you'd think they'd won the World Championships, or to them they probably feel they have, because a stage like this today against the competition in the field is a really, really impressive performance.
It's a big goal for this team, the Absa Cape Epic, and they come always very well prepared. They normally come with two teams, and they did again. They're missing Samuel Apora. He did not arrive at the race due to health issues. He decided to step out, and that's where Alleman was initially scheduled to ride with Rabensteiner, and their last-minute replacement to ride with Daniel Gesmeyer. And the second place team on the stage today, a fantastic day out, and again disrupting things, really shaking things up. Speed Company Racing look to be gaining time on their rivals. It's still all to play for in the general classification, and they will not let up until they cross that line. They might just give themselves a little bit of a celebration as they cross it, but that finish line is all important, because they'll be looking up at that clock and counting the seconds down to when the leaders of the general classification, the yellow jerseys, arrive. They've already lost over 3.5 minutes. And just a quick look back, and they'll quick bike throw onto the line, and then just start to look at the clock.
Fantastic performance. They've held nothing back once again. Egger and Bound, little fist pumps with their stage winners. And they are leaving nothing to chance, getting everything in order to try and get themselves further up the general classification. So let's hear from the stage winners with Jazz Kushka.
Fabian, Wout, what a ride.
Yeah, today is a really good day for us. We feel good in the first climb. We attack immediately on the top of the first climb and keep our pace. Then two teams comes back, the German guys and also the Specialized. And we ride there in the group. We look to save some energy there because also our teammates was just behind of us, so we cannot push. And then the Germans attacks before the second fit zone, and we can keep the pace. And then after in the uphill we was a little bit stronger and can go in front, and then we go always our pace and can go alone all the time.
And tell me, did you guys look at the stage earlier in the week and set a target on it?
Yeah, we knew that the race here around Stellenbosch was better for us because it's more technical and we like it more. So yeah, we had it on. We wanted to do a good result here, especially because this week was not what we expected. So yeah, super happy that we can take a stage win, and yeah, we are just happy. And tomorrow is another chance that we will try again tomorrow.
And tell us a little bit about the trails. It looked really fun out there.
Yeah, today was super funny. A lot of nice single trays, flowy single trays, technical single trays. A stage was, I think it was one of the best stages of the Cape Epic, what I do, and this is my 6th Cape Epic, so yeah, I really like it.
Well, congratulations and enjoy it.
Thank you.
And this is their number 2 team, Daniel Gesmeyer and Cameron Orr charging to the finish. They will probably know now that their teammates have won the stage, so it's been a very, very good day for the Willia Pirelli camp. And here they come, Daniel Gesmeyer and young Cameron Orr from Great Britain, from Northern Ireland, in fact, and they've taken 3rd place. So Willia Pirelli top and 3rd place, 3 minutes and 50 seconds back. The clock is still ticking back to the Canyon Northwave pair. Just to Willia Pirelli, well, they've had their best day by far. They finished 3rd on stage 1, but a stage win today. Let's go down to the finish and hear from Speed Company Racing.
Well, a great day for the Wheeler Pirelli team. For that team today.
So Lucas Gjorg, beautiful ride out there to ride back onto the podium, onto 2nd. This is what you wanted to do today after yesterday?
Yeah, for sure. It was redemption time after 2 days of bad luck, a missed turn, a lot of minutes lost there. I think for me, I'm in the virtual leader jersey, and maybe we are in the leader's jersey of the Hearts here in South Africa. Let's see how many minutes we actually got, but I'm super happy. Although today I just took a ticket on the high-speed train of Georg. He was super strong, and I was just following him, and let's see how many minutes we get now.
And some beautiful trails out there and beautiful lines through the single track?
Yeah, super nice. I mean, this stage was the only stage we knew a bit, because last week we had been here for a bit of training. Heat acclimatization, the Jonkershoek is so hot, it's crazy. Today it was okay, but last week. Yeah, and I mean, we tried so hard the last days, and I think we are the most active riders, and everyone was watching us, and today it was also super hard to get away because they didn't want to let us go. So yeah, super nice day.
And you talk about the heat. You both have now not riding with gloves. Is that because it's too hot?
I think it's a personal preference thing. They were struggling a lot today. Sometimes I like it with gloves, sometimes without.
Enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you.
Well, the characters, and they know what they're doing out here. They have gained a lot of support and a lot of fans, that's for sure. Georg Egger and Lucas Baum, the stunning stars from Germany. They've really done a fantastic job. And I can tell you, Andreas Seewald and his partner Martin Storsek have finished a tough day. They've just rolled into the finish line in 5th place, 5 minutes and 32 behind Ravensteiner and Wout Alleman, and about 4 minutes and 15 as Matt Beers and Chris Blevins roll in 6th place. They have lost a bit of time in their battle with Speed Company Racing, and they haven't been able to make an impact on a Canyon Northwave. 6 minutes and 13 seconds behind the race leaders, and Speed Company Racing are definitely going to be in 2nd place at the end of today's proceedings and going into the grand finale tomorrow. It's setting up that final stage, a real dramatic one.
Yeah, we will see so much firework tomorrow. We can see that today the Speed Company Racing managed to pull out quite a lot of time on the leading duo, and tomorrow is another day, and if they can gain the same amount of time on the leaders, well, they will be the leaders in the end.
Well, Seewald and Stozek certainly saved the day. They looked like they were really suffering. In the very early part of the race, we saw very bad signs from Andreas Seewald, just really off the pace. But they've managed to limit the damage to around just over 4 minutes to the Speed Company Racing team,
which gives them probably around about 3 minutes of an advantage going into the final stage. And Toyota 91 Specialized, well, they will be in 3rd place and chasing a 2nd place finish tomorrow, having finished in 6 minutes and 18 behind Ravensteiner and Alleman. So that's the stage 6 results. A superb, classy win for the Willia Pirelli team, attacking, feeling good on the first climb, and relishing these trails around Stellenbosch, and taking the win in 3 hours 16 minutes over the 76 kilometers of trail-laden ride around Stellenbosch. Egger and Baum 1 minute and 15 back, the Speed Company Racing pair, and capping a really brilliant day for the Willia Pirelli team. Their factory team, Cameron Orr and Daniel Gersmeyer, 3 minutes 50 back in 3rd place. Becky and Deer solid in 4th, and then it's the yellow jerseys and Toyota Specialized. Beautiful Stellenbosch on a glorious day here. It really is a spectacular day for the riders to enjoy the very best trails that this beautiful part of the world has to offer. And we've already seen the top 6 teams complete the 76 kilometers blindingly fast, a really fast stage again.
So fast. It's been quite impressive to see a team like the Speed Company Racing, how consistent they have been throughout the entire week. And then, of course, the Willia Pirelli team today really coming into good form, carrying so much speed. And we can also see that because of all the trails and because of all the climbing today, it all really spread out quite quickly.
And the Canyon Northwave team seem to they've held on to their lead. If we look, just do some basic calculations, looking at those results now, Canyon Northwave still will hold on to the lead. It'll be a lot more slender going into the final stage. And with Speed Company Racing definitely on the upswing at, we'd guess around about the 2 minutes 40, 2 minutes 45 or so. We're still waiting for those official time checks. And in the 3rd spot, not such a great day for Toyota 91 Specialized, Matthew Beers and Christopher Levins. We'll find out more about how they've been faring and why they were fading towards the end of the stage. But they still have 3rd spot pretty much secured, but they've still got a lot of work to do if they want to aim for that top spot in Val de Vie.
Well, just to confirm that after Toyota 91 Specialized, the Bulls came in, and Willia 7C Force 2. What a day Willia are having today. Another team inside the top 10 in Olehem and Marco Rebligiati. So it's all happening here at the Absa Cape Epic on this stage 6. We're expecting something really, really exciting, and we certainly had it today with the Willia Pirelli team taking the stage win. The Stellenbosch University playing fields, Coetzenburg it is, and it's the race venue and village for stage 6 today. A dramatic stage 6, 76 kilometers, 2,400 meters of climbing around the mountains and trails of Stellenbosch. And we've seen the leading racers already cross the finish line. Fabian Ravenstein and Wout Alleman, The Italian and Belgian champions, respectively, of Giulia Pirelli have taken the stage win today in the 3 hours and 16 minutes, which has moved them up to 6th place overall. But the general classification looks like this. It sets up a dramatic final day, the grand finale. Andreas Seewald and Martin Stosek, the Canyon Northway pair, had a really tough day today. They limited their losses to 5.5 minutes. Egger and Baum sensed the opportunity and they threw everything in to try and claw as much time back as they could. They managed to vault from 7 minutes adrift to just 2 minutes and 45. Now in second place they go above Beers and Blevins in third place, 7:40 now for the defending champion and his American partner. Becking and Diaz fourth on the day and fourth overall, rock solid by the Buff Megamo team, 20 minutes and 14 seconds down. Uber and Schneller of Bulls in fifth now, Ravenstein and Alleman in sixth, and Orr and Gesmeyer completing an excellent day for Giulia Pirelli and a good week as well. Another team inside the top 7.
Yeah, we really had no idea that this will be the scenario today, and you can rest assured that the speed company racing, they will start from the very first, from the start gun tomorrow to try and find those 2 minutes 45 seconds, because that's all they need to take the win, the final win.
Yeah, wherever you are tomorrow, make sure that you put aside the similar time tomorrow, because it is going to be arguably one of the most exciting, dramatic grand finale days on record in the Absa Cape Epic, because very much so the general classification is still in the melting pot. As we're watching the NTT Masters leaders, and they don't come much more decorated than this pair, Carl Platt and Christoph Sauser. Sauser on the front of that pair, unfortunately just losing images of them climbing up towards the last single track descent in Jonkershoek. They're some way back of the elite races now, but they're still very competitive, and that's the beauty of the Absa Cape Epic. It offers opportunity for all age groups, different age groups, to bring their racing pedigree and their experience and get the red mist descending and release the racing buttons, and that's what they're doing. They're really cool. Now this is the women's race with Faces Roller in the red Absa Africa jersey leaders colours of Candice Lill and Mariska Strauss, and with them the perennial race leaders they have been for since stage number 2, the Specialized pair of Haley Batten and Sofia Gomez Villafan of 91 Songo Specialized. So they've been together virtually since the off.
It's amazing to see how well matched these two teams are. We saw them yesterday battling it out all the way to the finish line. It was super close, and I have a feeling that we'll see the same scenario today. Of course, Specialized, they feel a little bit more comfortable on the overall lead. They have around 15 minutes, so I don't think they'll be all too worried about losing the orange jerseys. Now, what we're seeing today is more a race about the stage win of today's stage.
What we can tell you is that you might be asking what's happened to BMC MTB Racing, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot, because you'd be expecting them to be winning the stage, because that's what they seem to have been doing this week, every alternate stage. But they're having a better day than they did yesterday. They're in third place today. They're 7 minutes and 14 seconds down when we checked at 54.5 kilometers. Private Client Holdings, 9:24 down in fourth place at this stage, and they will be eyeing out a place in fourth place. They're fifth on GC. They'll be eyeing out fourth place, and Ariane Luthi and Amy Wakefield, who are having a really torrid day today, just hanging in and trying to get to the finish. As a true champion, Ariane Luthi just holding on. We heard her speaking yesterday, saying that she's not 100% by any stretch of the imagination, but had taken medical advice and been advised that she would not do any permanent or serious damage if she was to continue, but perhaps just to ride it a little bit easier.
Yeah, it seems like they have completely swapped mindsets on their ambitions in this race. So going from really targeting this race, I know that Ariane and Amy, they really target this race like full time. They want to take the win, and now they have to deal with some unforeseen issues, and they're still here. And I'm pretty sure that the mindset now is to get through, and if they manage to recover well from this race, actually it can be a really good platform for the rest of the season. So I feel like they have swapped perspectives on this race.
Yeah, so I mean, it might look all dramatic from a distance, but they are very comfortable with the way they're going about this. Let's get we have to change our ambitions completely, change focus, get through the race and use it as a good base, and just focus on getting to the finish line at Val de Vie.
And you see a lot of riders get it right, and when I say get it right, I mean get the recovery after the race right, because if you do that actually, and if you're a cross-country rider who mainly focuses on World Cup racing, which is a completely different type of riding from what we see here, if you get the recovery right after this race, actually this can be a platform that can see you ride so strong in the shorter races too.
The trails of Jonkershoek in all their glory today. It really is a special day to be on the mountain bike here in Jonkershoek. The weather's great and it's looking in pristine condition. These riders getting the best of them today, that's for sure. They've been lots of work's been done on all the trails in this part of the world. The trail building teams have been quite outstanding. And that is the NTT Masters leaders, Sauser and his partner Carl Platt. What a delight to have this pair riding together. They seem to have had a lot of fun out on the trails. That's how you get through. Just down the top of the quarry trail, the rider here just giving a little bit of space. And when you have a man like that on your wheel, Christoph Sauser, you've got to give him some space.
Well, great spirit shown on the trail, not just letting the faster riders through. And we wait for the women category. It's riders we're looking at right now, and in resplendent in their orange jerseys, 91 Songo Specialized. And at the front we see Hayley Batten. She's leading the way down the trails and clearly enjoying a day of these great single track sections that we've seen on the screens all morning. And Sophia Viafana just following suit with the South Africans in hot pursuit.
For sure, the 91 Songo Specialized team here will try to do everything they can to shake off Facer's ruler before the finish line, because if you can go into the final few Ks not having your competitors breathing down your neck, it's always a much nicer feeling. So right now they are using the terrain to their advantage to try and see, can we open up a gap right here.
Well, they're coming down the quarry trail now, the last of the descents off the Jonkershoek side, the Firehut as it's known. It starts as a big quarry at the top of the top of it, but it's known as Firehut. And look, this is just beautiful to watch, isn't it? Hayley Batten is so at home on these trails.
She's so at home on these trails. I know that Sophia and Hayley, they were here last week as well. They had the opportunity to go and scout a few of the trails that are in the race, and for sure it's a massive advantage to have that knowledge. That being said, right now they're racing against a local team who rides these trails all the time, so it helps to have a little bit of insight on the trails. It makes a difference.
Well, Hayley Batten is a cross-country racer of the highest order, second at Alpstadt and third at Nova Mesto last year, so she's very, very at home on these sort of trails, and we'll be looking forward, no doubt, to the World Cup season in Brazil. Not sure, she must be going there, or not?
Yeah, actually I checked with some of the teams just last night, and one of the conversations I had in particular was with both Hayley Batten and Chris Blevins, because originally they were not planning on going to Brazil for the first World Cup, which is in only 2 weeks, because it takes a lot of recovery after this race, and added to that also the travel. It's not an easy travel, but actually they are going, and I've been chatting to them a lot about getting the recovery right, because
yes.
I've done it myself once, racing the Cape Epic and then having a World Cup just 2 weeks after.
So this is the podium, the men's podium. William Peretti Factory gets mine ore, and Speed Company Racing, Gail Gaga and Lucas Baum enjoying the limelight once again on the second step of the podium. They are, of course, stage winners. They won stage 3 earlier this week, and they are right in the frame coming down to the business end of the 2022 Absa Cape Epic. A first stage win this year for William Pirelli's Fabian Ravenstein on the left there, the Italian champion, and his Belgian champion in the marathon of Dalaman, and the William Pirelli team enjoying a fantastic day in Stellenbosch today. 3 teams in the top 10 and 2 in the top 3. And for Ravenstein, a second stage win at the world's most competitive mountain bike stage race.
And well off that podium is Canyon Northwave, who are the overall general classification winners, and not having a great day out. We saw the Ailing. It was Andreas Seewald was the rider that was struggling out of those 2, and all be interesting to see how tomorrow goes. But the day definitely belonged to the Italian and the Belgian as they celebrated going across the line. Clearly really enjoying their new bikes. Got new bikes this year, and it's a same outfit, new sponsors, and clearly a great day out. And of course, back to the overall general classification podium, and this is after all but one stage. After stage 6, the Canyon Northwave team still find themselves in the lead. It is a slender lead back to Speed Company Racing. There is a 2-minute and 45-second gap, and Toyota 91 Specialized in 3rd spot at 7 minutes 40. Tomorrow will be an absolute humdinger.
Up they step to take the acknowledgement of another solid stage. Not their best, but they really kept it together today. And Martin Stosek and Andreas Seewald, 5:32 on the day, but they are still in the yellow jerseys, Canyon Northwave. And they are the team who still hold all the aces, as are this pair, and they look as though they may well have got away, just leaving Jonkershoek now. Sophia Villafan and Haley Batten have used that descent to open up a gap on Faces Roller.
Yeah, we saw just before that a tiny little gap was opening up on the trails in this team's favor, and now that they're down on the flat, more fast-rolling part of the course, it looks like they go into time trial mode, just doing everything they can to kind of extend the lead. So this is brilliant riding from this team, who also will know that at the very end of this stage, this little kicker climb will await them. They were quite successful yesterday. That's exactly where they made the winning move. But today, if they could go there on their own, that would be quite a nice scenario.
This is a little section on the entrance, or just the exit of Jonkershoek, called the Dentist. It's got 2 lines. You come in down the bottom and you come out on this section, nice and fast, engaging. Not completely pristine and tidied up. It's got its areas that might trip you up if you're not aware, but these are the best riders in the world who cope with that very well indeed. So they are heading towards the finish. It's just 11 seconds between the leaders, 91 Songo Specialized and Faces Roller, as they left Jonkershoek.
But on this particular part of the course, you can see there's a lot of trees, a narrow trail, and vision can be quite difficult. It's hard to see the team in front of you, and for Faces Roller, having this team ahead of them, not within visual contact, it's more tricky. If they are capable to see them, it makes it easier to keep the pace up.
Absolutely, they act as a carrot and an incentive. But yeah, this one is in and out of the trees. These are poplars. It's a beautiful little trail to end your ride if you've been in Jonkershoek. It becomes a little unrideable in winter with the rain and the river down the bottom. It bursts its banks sometimes, and it becomes very slushy and muddy. But none of that now. It's dry and pretty hard packed. Haley Batten and Sophia Gomez Villafan, you were talking about their preparations ahead of the World Cup, and you were sort of guiding them and giving a little bit of advice about how to prepare after this and the recovery. What would that be?
Well, it is actually a matter of really trusting your gut feeling a lot, constantly feeling how your body is doing, and then sticking to that. I remember in 2014 I did the Cape Epic, and only 2 weeks later was World Cup in Pietermaritzburg. And I stayed in South Africa, and I remember after Cape Epic, you know, because you go through such a massive effort, I was feeling really, really bad. I was so tired. I was not feeling good at all. And I remember just 1 week after finishing the Cape Epic, there was a local XC race, actually here on Coetzenburg. And I did that race, and I felt horrible. You know, but the best thing I can say, it felt like, you know, getting a proper slap in the face. But that kind of turned things in my body a little bit from going into this deep recovery mode that I found myself in. The body started to realize, ooh, okay, now I need to get going ever so slowly again. But it's all about staying calm, believing that you must stick to your recovery, rest as much as you can, and then only applying a few very hard, very intense efforts, and then you can find yourself flying on race day.
Well, there's an XC race here a week's time on that Coetzenburg World Cup course for this pair if they're around, but at the moment they're just focusing on getting to the finish here. They've opened up a little gap on Faces Roller. Looking very, very impressive again for another stage win.
Indeed they are. They seem like they are the most stable stable team in the women's category. Every single day they've just been going strong. They didn't have any massive hiccups or issues. They were stable all the way through, and that's why we see them now in the orange jersey and actually having a comfortable lead of around 15 minutes on GC to the team behind them, now chasing them down.
Yeah, Haley Batten using that little single track descent off Jonkershoek, the quarry track Firehut as it's known, and just opening up that gap with her supreme descending skills. And Sophia Gomez-Villafan she went to the Olympics last year. She was a performer there. She's the Argentine national cross-country champion, so she's a serious racer. But I think there's any doubt that Haley Batten's the superior single track and technical rider here, but Gomez-Villafan has really shown incredible focus and determination to stay with her and to follow the lines and to do the work when required.
Yeah, we really see how this team has just grown together to become a tight unit throughout this week. Every single day just riding better and better together. For every stage they complete, they gain a lot of knowledge on each other's strengths and weaknesses and what worked with the teamwork, what didn't work, and how their competitors are riding. So now they have a lot of knowledge. The base of knowledge of this team is quite big at the moment, and that's why we see them riding so brilliantly together.
Very cohesive indeed as they swing through the Kirikwak section here on the left bank of the Eerste River, which leaves Jonkershoek and heads down to Stellenbosch. And very shortly they'll get to, just before they come out of this Kirikwak section and onto the road, they'll turn left through Glen Connor and head up onto that tough Yonkers Drift trail. The first time this is being used in a race, and the first little kicker up there will be a little surprise, because no one has ridden this trail before, bar those men's teams who've gone through ahead of us here. So it's not something that any rider would have been able to prepare for and come and pre-ride, if you like. It's just coming up now on the left-hand side. Batten and the Gomez-Villafan, but they'll take it in their stride. They are in race-winning mode right now, are Batten and Gomez-Villafan. Left here, and away they go.
They are truly flying yet again today, and they will also have the insight. They will have every single night within the team. They'll do briefings on what to expect the following day, so they will know to watch out and be careful on this last little climb and descent. That's not where you want to lose the stage win, because it is quite rocky, and if you put your tires wrong, yeah, it can be disaster.
Well, they're charging along on the flat road at the moment, on the farm trails, and then it'll be a left-hander and head up onto that steep climb. The finish is close by in the CM.com women's race. Haley Batten, as they turned left there, just looking back at Sophia Gomez-Villafan, as much to say how are you feeling, but also just you go ahead. I'll keep pace with you as they go at this steep and loose climb.
Yeah, you can see that Haley is probably the stronger of these two women, and she's taking that responsibility to her and really nursing or making sure. I don't think Sophia needs a lot of nursing, but just every now and then making sure that if there is a climb and Haley's feeling better, she lets Sophia to the front. Sophia is very strong, but if Haley puts her too much into the red, yeah, that can be the recovery for tomorrow can be difficult. So it's all about pacing, and here you can see they are doing it just perfectly.
Yeah, and that the way they're riding will give you a perspective on how tough this climb is as they make their way up. This from the helicopter shot, you don't get the idea of just how steep this climb is. They look down, and that will be just giving them an idea as to where this pair are, the chasing pair. Candice Lill and Mariska Strauss are on the lower slopes of that climb now. Well, it's again coming down to the last little kickers, as we saw yesterday coming into Stellenbosch. The race took a couple of turns. One of them was as they started the single track climb up in Botmaskop, when the tussle for the line ahead of the single track took place, and that was won by the 91 Songo Specialized team, and eventually they won the stage on the final kicker as well. We're a few kilometers from the finish of the stage 6 of the Absa Cape Epic, 76 kilometers in all on this ride, and the women's race is reaching a climax now with the race leaders, 91 Songo Specialized, probably around 15 to 20 seconds ahead of this pair of Candice Lill and Mariska Strauss, who are in fact not that far behind. Well, maybe it is as they ride away. We'll see where the trail goes up here, but they're on the final bit of single track. It is a tough climb up, and then they're onto a contour trail at the top of this, but they've got about, what do you reckon, 20 seconds, 15, 20 seconds?
Something like that, but most importantly what we see here is the visual contact between the two teams. It makes all the difference, both for Faces Roller here chasing down. If you can see your competitors, it's just that much easier to continue to apply pressure. And also for the Specialized team, it becomes a little bit more tricky. You need to keep your nerves cool, even though it feels like that they're right there with them. But you need to believe in the fact that you are the stronger team and just stick to your own rhythm instead of looking too much back.
We saw these two teams together on the descent. They spent most of the stage together, and having left the others behind and having spent the day together, we really expected to see another carbon copy of the dramatic finale we saw yesterday, with the attack just happening in the last couple of kilometers. But clearly Haley Batten and Sophia Villafana are very keen to get moving earlier and not leave it to chance, not leave it to the final selection. And it's really all about racing, is when you find an opportunity to really, where your rivals are showing a little bit of weakness, that's the time to attack.
And now that they're about to reach the final tricky descent of today, the question is how much are this team here, the 91 Songo Specialized, willing to risk? Because we know it is a tricky descent, there's so many rocks, and it's easy to get a flat tire. So it'll be interesting to see the race going down this final descent here.
Well, it's as I've said earlier, the first time this trail has been used. It is spectacular, wonderful, wonderful addition to the trail network in Stellenbosch, and the riders certainly enjoying it. Carl Platt and Christoph Sauser, the NTT Masters, are racing there. Just behind them is a lone leopard, and that is Thiago Ferreira, the former world marathon champion who lost his partner yesterday. But Platt, and so he's not allowed to engage in any of the racing. He'll just be following these two legends as they make their way towards what seemingly is another stage win and securing their hold on that NTT Masters jersey.
Well, Thiago Ferreira will be used to riding with Carl Platt, and in 2016 Thiago Ferreira was dicing with Carl Platt, really shoulder to shoulder. Carl Platt's final victory is one of those last of of 5 victories at the race, and Thiago Ferreira and his Greek partner Pericles Ilias definitely doing really, they were battling each other all the way through. Thiago Ferreira in fact winning a stage that year. With different circumstances at the Absa Cape Epic, slightly more relaxed atmosphere for Christoph Sauser and Carl Platt, and of course in the lone leopard jersey Thiago Ferreira having lost his partner. Just enjoying the trails of today, I think, is the order of the day.
Yeah, and if you want to have this opportunity to come and enjoy these trails and give yourself a week of unprecedented mountain bike stage racing, then why not consider entering for the 2023 Absa Cape Epic. Entries disappear in a flash, so they open on Monday, just a day after the race ends here. So for the 2023, you've got a whole year to prepare, get your mind and body and your house in order to prepare, because you mark my words, the commitment to prepare for an event like this is fairly broad. It's an all-encompassing one when you want to decide to ride a race like this.
Oh yeah, indeed it is. Just when I came here a little over a week ago, I met a guy at the airport who was actually, he's with us here in this race, and he was so excited because he said, you know what, I've been training for this for 3 years. So because of COVID and everything, he had to move his entry to this year, and he has just been preparing so intensely, and now he was finally here, and he just couldn't wait to get going. So lovely to hear those stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope he is still going and making his way towards the finish. I mean, that is the nature of this race. It is one of the toughest around, and yep, it can play the fool with your best plans, and all your preparation can be ruined by, a mechanical, whatever it might be. But if you can get to this stage of the race and enjoy these trails and enjoy the sensation of sensing that the finish is closing on, then it certainly is worthwhile. Right up high above the Eerste River here on the Jonkershoek trail, this is Haley Batten following the wheel of her partner Sofia Gomez-Villafan, the Argentine champion, and they are riding like champions once again on this spectacular trail. Really is beautifully carved out of the mountain side here, the bench cut single track. I know that it took a lot of hard work and clearance in order to be able to build this trail by Conrad Stolz. You can see how the fire devastated the one side of the mountain there a year ago, and it stopped just short here on this side, but the trail survived.
And here we have really good visuals of the actual gap. It also means that Faces Roller, they are capable of seeing their competitors just up the road. And the question is, how hard will they push on this part of the course to try and catch up? We saw yesterday when it came down to the final little kicker just before the finish line. Actually, it was the Specialized team who had the upper hand. So we'll see how this unfolds.
Are we coming back to that? And will it all come together? And will that fight, the weirdest thing, because it's that final little 100 meter, 150 meter kicker that could decide the stage here. They've still got some work to do, though, Candice Lill and Mariska Strauss, in order to close that gap. They'll be trying, no question about that. 23 seconds, there's the gap as they snake along this rolling single track.
Very soon they'll get a chance to enjoy the rewards of their effort, and that's what it's all about at the Absa Cape Epic, especially a day like today with the single track. It's about effort and then the reward afterwards. And in today's loop course, there is plenty of reward with some magnificent single track that we've seen on camera. And of course, the riders will come back with smiles on their faces. Maybe they'll certainly be tired, but they'll be rewarded with some of the finest trails in the world, you could say. And Faces Roller still have a lot to work for. We counted the gap around about 15-20 seconds or so, and still have a big gap to make up. And will they take big risks on the descent to catch up, or will they just consolidate and keep their second place and be happy with it, and not try and, of course, with risk comes an infinite possibility of infinite time loss, where there is just really, if you shred a tire at this point or break a derailleur or something like that, it can really be disastrous. So it's all about whether or not the riders will risk everything on this last ascent just before they reach Coetzenburg.
Definitely. And looking a little bit on the women's field in general, we saw the private client holdings team carrying so much momentum here towards the latter half of the race of the week. Right now they're lying in 4th place, but we saw them taking several podium spots just the recent days. And remember that these women, Marie Rabi and Haley Preen, they have to manage all the training in between being a full-time worker, I guess it is, and a student. And I think that's they come to this race, and now they have the exact same amount of time for recovery in the afternoon that maybe they normally wouldn't have. And that's why I think now, here towards the end of the race, we see them getting closer and closer to the front.
Well, yeah, Maria and actually with a big merchant bank, and Haley studying towards an engineering degree, but also committed athletes and getting the training in between work and studying. So fantastic credit to them, and they have ridden themselves in all likelihood today. I would think they may well move up a position into 4th place. Meanwhile, sweeping down the last bit of the descent out of the Jonkershoek trails, the race leaders on the stage and in the general classification heading towards Coetzenburg's finish line, Haley Batten and Sophia Gomez-Villafan of 91 Songo Specialized. Beautiful riding by this pair. Totally committed and riding in sync all the way through the week.
We've seen mishaps throughout the week, and with that, mishaps have influenced the overall outcome of the race. But of course, these two really showing that they're worthy of those leaders' jerseys. And be interesting to see how Stefan views things. He's out on the e-bike following the riders. Stefan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
So tell us a little bit about how the racing has been going so far.
At the moment, I just can tell you it's such a pleasure to ride behind those two in the orange jersey. It's unbelievable how cool they ride down the trail. Like as a unit, taking the same lines, really composed, everything under control.
What's the trail surface like there, Stefan?
It's a classic Western Cape hard pack with slippery stones on top. So you have to be very careful with every time you touch the front brake. There's a possibility that your front wheel will slide, but they're managing so good.
And Stefan, can you tell us a little bit about what's happening behind with the Faces Roller team?
I was checking behind a little bit. I think they're still on the same gap, like 25 to 30 seconds. Probably difficult to come back to the front, since we're now almost back to the flatter section and then the last little kicker, as you've been discussing. But I think there shouldn't be any problem for those two.
Thanks to Stefan Sam out there riding behind this. The race leading team, 91 Songo Specialized. They'll head out of the trail at Jonkershoek on the Vineyard Road. Hooker left, and literally no more than a couple of 100 meters they'll be on their way home as Candice Lill leads Mariska Strauss on the descent for Faces Roller. Yeah, about 20 seconds or so is the gap to the leading team here, and it looks like for Faces Roller it's going to be another second place finish as Sophia Gomez-Villafan and Haley Batten storm towards a third stage win.
Now really tucking down on the handlebar, just going into as much aerodynamic position as possible and time trialing the way to the finish line. Here we're back with the BMC, MTB Racing, not having the best day today. It seems like it's once again Robin de Hoort who's struggling just a little bit to follow the pace of her partner, Pauline Ferrand-Perot, who has really surprised this week. I mean, she's riding so strong. She was very open about that, yes, she's here to race, but she's also here to kind of use it as a part of her preparation for the season. And she's just embraced the challenge, even though she also had a good taste of what this race is all about when I think it was on stage 1. Feels like long ago already, where she really had to suffer and they lost a lot of time on the overall GC. But she came back from that very strong, and now she's clearly the stronger in this pairing.
They won 3 stages as well, and perhaps putting the groundwork down for future assaults on the Absa Cape Epic. in years to come, as she is obviously committed to a big campaign on the cross country, and she's such a versatile rider. For the cyclocross, road titles, marathon titles, cross-country titles, all the like, but she'll be back, I'm sure. We're on the back wheel of Hayley Batten and Sofia Gomez Villafan. You can see how steep this little kicker is. It's a piece of road that runners, riders and walkers and dogs know very well in Stellenbosch, and it never feels this tough, but then again you don't get to it when you've ridden 75 kilometers at express pace like these two. But look at the effort being put in by Sofia Gomez Villafan and Hayley Batten. They're over the top, the last hill is done, and the finish is just ahead for this pair.
Impressive riding. They really are riding like a unit, a rock-solid unit, like we've been discussing and touching on many times. And remember, this is their first stage race together, so they had to learn as they go, and they have a very steep learning curve. It's impressive to see.
I wonder what these two are thinking about back to yesterday when they were within touching distance of the orange jerseys, and the elastic snapped on that little section now, and they now cannot see them, although they're just over the hill. Sofia Gomez Villafan and Hayley Batten down onto the flats now, past the indoor cricket school, and then they'll be onto the fields. Another exemplary performance by 91 Songo Specialized. From a few days out, we realized it was going to take an enormous effort by Faces Roller, and perhaps something untoward to happen to this team if they were to lose the hold of the jerseys, and they haven't let that happen once.
Well, we've seen in the race that anything can happen, and it's in direct contrast to the race leaders in the men's category. In the women's category, they're very much in command of themselves and in command of the entire race. They have distanced their rivals already, even before that final major climb, and they're just keeping the momentum going. But in the men's category, we saw Andreas Seewald and Martin Stozak hailing throughout the stage and losing time. For the first time, we've really seen them having a weekday, but it all belongs to the 91 Songo Specialized team. Yet another stage win. They've pulled it out of the bag, and it's they made the move a little bit earlier this time on Faces Road. They were riding together most of the stage, and Villafan is getting to lead Hayley Batten through to the stadium, and another celebration for these two.
Absolutely. Sofia Gomez Villafan and Hayley Batten put together a superb ride. They won stage one. There was second, third and fourth places, and then won stage 5, but they turn the final corner on stage 6. They look behind and they'll see Faces roll a long way back. Fist pumps all round. A victory again for 91 Songo Specialized. Hayley Batten and Sofia Gomez Villafan. The orange jerseys are the queens once again on stage 6 of the Absa Cape Epic. And the Faces roller in the Absa African jerseys on the field now, not far behind them. Another brave ride by Mariska Strauss and Candice Lill. Runners up yesterday. They do have, of course, a stage win to their credit, stage 3. But second place yesterday, second place today again for Strauss and Lill. And they'll consolidate their position in second place on the general classification as well. Well ridden by Mariska Strauss on the left, Candice Lill on the right, the all-South African pair, second on the day.
Impressive ride. They just keep on getting stronger and stronger, and today was another solid performance from this team. Clearly, now they're starting to have, they've done many stage races together, so they're a tight unit. And it's good to see how they really have a good go here at this race, and I'm sure, one day they can, I have a feeling they could go for the overall win in this race.
Yeah, I think they've just got to try and ensure that Specialized decide that maybe they're not going to come to the race, because the Specialized team have been so dominant over the last few years in the women's race. 6 and looking like 7 races. Let's go down to the finish here at Stellenbosch and hear from the race winners.
Hey, Hayley, Sofia, another perfectly executed game plan out there.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. It was a battle of the trails out there. I think because there was so much single track, that was, I think, one of the hardest stages we've ever done actually this week, because it was just like go, go, go every climb, and it was such a good battle with the other team today. It was pretty dang hard.
So could you tell Candice and Mariska know these trails super well?
I mean, they know everything we've ever ridden this whole week, and we actually were based here in Stellenbosch the week leading up, so we rode that whole trail system at the very end, and it felt so freaking good to like finally know a trail that we're riding, and you could tell that once we know a trail, we could create separation, and yeah, once we hit that last flow trail, it was game on. You gotta go, and yeah, that last climb was awful. That was really hard, but I have a champ of a teammate that kept me motivated, and yeah, crossed the finish line first, and another 5,000 ran to the Sangha Foundation.
Congratulations, another perfect job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thanks for everybody cheering. That was
Oh,
awesome.
that was amazing,
And
yeah.
once again, huge thanks to the Specialized crew for all their work this week. We're super excited to be on the top step of the podium for you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Well, she lives in the United States, in Utah, does Sofia Gomez-Villafan, but the Argentine champion, and Haley Batten from the United States, also in Utah, and they are the race leaders, and really a credit to their countries and to their team as well. And there's Absa Amaweli, Oliver Munich, and Nick Lamini, the road racing star. Nick Lamini, a number of Grand Tours to his name. He's finished last year with the Quebec team, and he's now riding his first Absa Cape Epic, and well, he's ridden more kilometers on a mountain bike in the last 6 days than ever in his life, and he's had a pretty decent mentor in Oliver Munich. I think he's riding his 12th Absa Cape Epic, so they've been having a great time of it. On the road, I think Nick has been punishing Oliver mercilessly, and then Oliver's allowed Nick to just set the pace sometimes on the trails, although I'd fancy that on some of the more technical trails, Oliver would have just said, listen, I've got to have a bit of fun up front here. Good to see. They are close to home as well, and they've been riding in around the top 30, which is a pretty impressive performance by this pair, that's for sure.
Well, there's no doubting the engine of a rider that's done several Grand Tours, and it's just something that happens to the body when you do those kind of efforts. And riding on the road at the very highest level, Nick Lamini certainly got the engine to carry this team far into the race, and let's hope that we'll see a little bit more of him throughout the years to come.
He's still with the Continental team, the Africa's team, so he'll be doing plenty more work on the road, but this is a really good option for him, an opportunity for him to get his teeth into some mountain biking. Why not start with the Absa Cape Epic?
Well, it's great to see the skills transferring, and also just the riders having a little bit more freedom nowadays, and the road teams are a bit more encouraging than previous years. It's known as perhaps a very traditional mindset when it comes to teams and pro teams especially, and many of the progressive pro teams encouraging the riders to try different disciplines like gravel racing and of course mountain biking. We saw it last year with Bora Hansgrohe sending a team, and it's great to see some of the roadies plying their trade and putting down some power on the trails of the Western Cape.
Right, let's go to the finish and hear from the second place team in the CM.com women's category today.
Candice and Mariska, super hard battle out there again today.
Yes, absolutely. It's been such a cool battle yesterday and today, and really good for women's racing to show the action, to make it exciting, and hopefully we've done that. And yeah, we just came off second best today at the end.
And obviously you know these trails super well. Was it good fun out there at the same time? Did you take some time to actually enjoy the riding?
Definitely enjoyed it. Didn't really see anything except the wheel in front of you. No, it's stunning trails, and yeah, really fun battle out there today.
And what's the plan for the grand finale tomorrow? Almost at home.
Attack. I mean, we literally have nothing to lose, so we'll definitely try for a win tomorrow again. Put it all out there.
We look forward to seeing how it all unfolds.
Thanks so much. Take you out there.
Candice Little, Mariska Strauss putting their cards on the table for the grand finale. It really is the stage everyone wants to win. If you're not going to win the overall, then have a have a go? And even if you are going to win the overall, you want to have a go at winning the grand finale as well.
It's a very special stage to win because it is unlike any other finish in this race. Just the amount of spectators, the whole run into Val de Vie, it's quite unique, and it's something you want to have on your palmares.
And the emotion flowing around the Val de Vie lifestyle estate tomorrow is just incredible, because finishing this journey, it's something that only those who have done it will be able to identify with, that's for sure.
Yeah, I believe that every single time I went down that finishing straight, I just had goosebumps all over, and that's when it really starts sinking in, like what you just conquered. And it's not a walking in the park, this race. It is brutally hard. And when you get to the final finish line, it is quite unique.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point, because we're watching one of the finest women cyclists of all time, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot here, Robin de Groot riding with her. And, we, as a layman and as observers, as fans and spectators, you think, oh, well, yeah, it's what they do is they ride mountain bike races or they ride races, and it's, you move on to the next one. But this is particularly hard and particularly challenging, and therefore rewarding when you finish it successfully.
It is so intense. So when you start the race, you kind of enter into a little bubble with your whole setup team, with your race partner, and you can't really compare that to anything you find anywhere else in your working life or sporting career. So it is super, super unique, because sharing something so intense with someone creates a type of bonds that you can. It's hard to describe. You need to come here and experience yourself.
Well, there we go.
Well, we see that Pauline Ferrand-Prévot riding with Robin de Groot, and Robin de Groot has said that this, in fact, she said it before the race started, this will be her last Absa Cape Epic and Pauline's first. So great to look forward to seeing Pauline Ferrand-Prévot at the race again. And we did see the experienced campaigner de Groot saying that on stage one, after stage one, that Ferrand-Prévot got a taste of the epic, and definitely an understatement, because Ferrand-Prévot, absolutely, the lights went out on one of the climbs and she had to pause and regroup, and of course they lost several minutes that day, putting their hopes on overall general classification pretty much on the back burner. It didn't stop them winning 3 stages throughout the week. They won the prologue. The following day they had a very bad day, and the following day they had a great day. So clearly showing that they have the firepower. But Pauline Ferrand-Prévot will come back and no doubt focus on consistency, because consistency is the key to winning this race. It's all about having just try to measure your efforts all the way through, pace yourself, and of course if there is a bad day, if something bad does happen, it's all about how you manage that disaster.
And finding a partner that matches your ambition, your capabilities, your skills. So that's all part of the package when it comes to putting a race-winning team together.
And they have proved to be a good match here. I think on a personal level, they share a lot. And it's almost more important that you click on a personal level than a purely riding level. And it seems like these two, they are having the time of their life here, actually.
Well, bringing it home with Ploffy and Mark in the chopper there. Brilliant image of the riders. A dramatic image, isn't it, as they finish stage 6 of the Absa Cape Epic. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot of Team BMC MTB. 3 stage wins to their name. They had a tough day yesterday and finished 3rd today.
Down the finish line in the
they are bringing it home on the lovely lush fields of Coetzenburg.
It should be BMC, but
well, it's been a bonding week for them like never before, because they've never ridden a stage race before together. And for Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, very few on the mountain bike. A wave to the crowd for Robin de Groot. She will be enjoying every moment of this. A little fist pump with Pauline Ferrand-Prévot as Robin de Groot completes another stage on the Absa Cape Epic. She's got one more to go, and if she stays true to her word, which you know she will, that'll be her last.
Third place today.
But, third place today for Team BMC MTB's Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot. 4 hours, 12 minutes and 16. And they finished today behind the stage winners, which of course were 91 Songo Specialized, and Faces Roll in second, 11 minutes and 11 seconds behind.
Yeah, a solid performance. We know that Robin has been struggling a little bit with gastrointestinal issues the last couple of days, and having to recover from something like that while you're pushing your body to the absolute limit is not easy. But it seems like she's kind of found her rhythm again, which is good to see. And just to confirm the results of today's stage, we have, of course, from 91 Songo Specialized, Baden and Vidafan in first position, followed by Lil and Strauss from Faces Roller, only 39 seconds behind. And a little bit further back, we have Ferran Perot and Hoek from BMC Racing Team in 11 minutes, 11 seconds after the leaders of today.
So that is the way the general classification looks as well. Songo Specialized, Faces Roller and BMC in the top three. There might well be a change behind them. Simtech ZA in fourth and Private Client Holdings in fifth. There was 12 minutes between those two teams at the start of the day, and there's a lot more than that now as Private Client Holdings are in fact entering the finish area right now. They're onto the playing field. So Haley Preen and Marie Rabi are Private Client Holdings putting together another fantastic day today. They'll finish fourth today on stage 6 of the Absa Cape Epic. And not only will they finish fourth today, but in all likelihood, they will move up from 5th to 4th on general classification as well, Private Client Holdings, and just reward 2 for what has been a really fantastic second half of the week for this pair. They did lose 17 minutes on stage 1. They may reflect that, and stage 2's 22-minute losses. The two big costly areas for them. It's half an hour already there, but they've come storming back here. Haley Preen and Marie Rabi of Private Client Holdings, 13 minutes and 56 seconds down.
Yeah, and once again, I have to really express my admiration of these two women, because being at a race like this takes a lot of preparation, and they had to do all that preparation next to studies and work, and that's impressive. Now I find myself kind of on the other side of pro racing. And I must say, you know, after a long day at the dental clinic, going out on a bike and doing the training is not always easy. You just don't have the same amount of energy, and also you don't have the same amount of time for recovery. And it's those things that makes the big difference.
Absolutely. Preen and Rabi finishing fourth today, and their day is done now. We are back at the Jonkershoek trails, and well, it's one of the problems of mountain biking. Yes, you will have the odd rider going to fall foul of these trails, and it creates a bit of a backlog behind him. Others want to get past and continue riding on. They're on the Armageddon trail here in Jonkershoek. You might want to move off the trail, rider coming behind you, sir. There we go. Beautiful conditions to ride the trails in today in Jonkershoek. Stage 6 of the Absa Cape Epic is underway. Still a long way to go for the majority of the field, but the leading men and women's teams are in. Top 4 in the women's teams. 91 Songo Specialized, the race leaders. Faces Roller, the African jersey holders. BMC MTB Racing and Private Client Holdings all have completed their journey around the 76-kilometre course, just over 4 hours and 1 minute for the race winners in the women's race today on what has been a trail-laden day. So many trails for these riders, and if you don't enjoy today as a mountain biker, well, then you might have to look for an alternate, because it really is a fantastic day to explore the trails and express yourself. And if you are unfamiliar with trails that perhaps a little bit difficult for you, well, this is one of the ways to learn and to get experience in riding these trails. This is the Armageddon Trail in Jonkershoek. That big rock is one of the great features of this trail, right up onto the rock and then rocket down into the trail once again.
So you see quite a few tire tracks on that rock, using it as a bit of a wall ride. Clearly riders really enjoying themselves on the Jonkershoek trails, and exciting for us sitting in the studio to watch it, but certainly getting a bit of FOMO, wishing that we were out there on the trails. And mountain biking fans watching on TV will probably feel the same. Absa Cape Epic 2023, just to let you all know that entries open tomorrow at 3 o'clock Central African time. And of course, entries sell out in seconds. So have your fingers ready on that mouse.
On Monday.
On Monday.
So you can start trying to enter tomorrow and maybe get your fingers warmed up, because it is like that. I can tell you it is like that. There's plenty of, it's almost like trying to win the race or avoid a time limit if you are trying to enter the race, because there's such demand on riding this race. And why not? It is truly spectacular, and it is a major achievement to complete the journey of the Absa Cape Epic over the 8 days. It is uncompromising in its belief. It is one of the toughest challenges on a mountain bike or anywhere in the world.
I will have to agree with that. It is simply because of the distance and the terrain and the heat. This race throws a lot of challenges at you, but I can tell you that when you overcome all these challenges, which is possible, it is the best feeling ever. So I can highly recommend giving it a go.
Sense of achievement and satisfaction at finishing and crossing the line here and receiving that prized medal is really, really fantastic. And of course, the memories of riding trails like this and getting down to the bottom of these trails. Very, very special. Very different type of conditions, trails, to those who ride in Europe or perhaps elsewhere in the world. I know in the sort of more Mediterranean climes, perhaps the trails are similar. But yeah, this is a unique experience riding in the Western Cape. Days 1 and 2, intense heat we had, and then we went out to Greyton. There was the incredibly tough wind the riders had to deal with there. Those are the conditions and the weather issues that one has to deal with out on the trails. But today, in near perfect conditions. Couldn't ask for better.
Couldn't be a better day to ride a mountain bike, for sure. And definitely, even if you're riding at the very front, you would have enjoyed today's stage. And so we saw 91 Songo Specialized really take it to the others and take it to the Faces Roller team. But just looking back at the NTT Masters category, we've seen Carl Platt and Christoph Sauser, an unusual pairing because we've seen them as rivals and now together. Great story for the race. And putting 8 minutes 52 seconds into the all South African team, Uriah and Duvenard, and the Spaniards, the Fit to Bike Natural Berry team, 15 minutes back.
I can tell you that the South Africans, Restonic, are now in second overall. They lost huge time midweek, and they're only 35 seconds behind Fit to Bike Natural Berry at the start of today's stage, so they've vaulted into second overall as well in the NTT Masters. They are the defending champions. Their task of winning the title again this year was made a little bit difficult when Carl Platt and Christoph Sauser had a cup of coffee and decided they should ride this one together. Let's go down to the finish and hear from Team Absa Amaweli.
Ollie Munich, Nick Lamini, smiles today. There weren't so many smiles yesterday at the end of yesterday's stage.
No surrender to Absa Cape Epic. I've had 2 tough days. Nick's got me through, and now this today was superb. Nick is a mountain biker through and through. Took him 6 days. He's in.
Tell us a bit about those trails. You were rallying down there.
I was. But yeah, if I look at the difference between the prologue and now, it's a massive difference. I wasn't really confident coming this side of the world to Stellenbosch. I was here before the Epic just to come see what the trails are like, and with the dust and the loose sand, yeah, that was very terrifying. But you know, when you're in the game, you can't hold back. So I was flowing nicely, much faster than I was. But yeah, there's still quite a lot of room for improvement.
And you guys are competitive. I mean, you were looking at the GC yesterday straight after your stage and you were like checking the times. The racing spirit just never dies, right?
Yeah, you always want to limit the damage. But I think today is going to be flipping amazing. So pumped. And on stage 1, we had a great day and we were on our own the whole time. Today we were on the stage on our own basically 85-90% of the way. It was superb. I send Nick up the hill, he carves it down, I catch him, then we clap the uphill, he goes off, then catch him again. It's a great strategy, and maybe we need 2 weeks of racing.
So that type of strategy on today's profile worked kind of perfect because there's so much climbing, these short, steep climbs.
Yeah, I mean, they work perfect. They work perfectly. Like Ollie said, we just basically used the strategy we used on the prologue, where I go up the road and go at my own speed on the single tracks, and then he catches up. And by the time he catches up, I'm almost out of the single tracks, and then we just keep it going. That way we limit all the losses.
Well, go and recover and enjoy tomorrow.
Thanks, Jazz.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Ollie Munich and Nick Glamini, Team Absa Amaweli, and the leaders in the Exaro jersey are home as well. Ndebele and Selala, Tlotwa Selala and Halalisan Ndebele, consolidating their hold on that Absa, at least the Exaro jersey, which is what their goal is, and some wonderful prizes for them as well. Scholarships, children's school scholarships from grade 1 to grade 12 is one of the prizes, and if you don't have school-going children, you can opt to take a tertiary education scholarship through Stadio, which is really fantastic, those offers. They also get to go to the Buckler Academy in Belgium to hone on their cycling skills. So the Exaro Academy breeding and bringing riders through, and we've seen a couple of riders who've won that category before. It's only under 26 is the age limit for the Exaro category. Once you reach the age of 26, you come and ride the open categories, and Loyanda Tobanguni and Lorenzo Leroux have won that category before, are racing very nicely indeed inside the top 35 teams in the overall today. Let's go back down to the finish and hear from all those star finishers.
Fairtree Imperial Cannondale Racing, you guys had a storming day today?
Today it was easy and fast because my partner was too strong today. We managed to finish today.
And tell me, these are your home trails? You really enjoyed it out there today?
Yeah, it was lekker. So we stayed in Jonkershoek, and yeah, we managed to relax from the start. And my partner, yeah, he is the first guy on the single track, and yeah, we was lekker. We was racing together lekker, yeah.
And how good does it feel to finish with so much crowd support here in your hometown?
It was lekker. We were, my mother and my kids and my girlfriend was standing there, and I was so shy. But it's nice, yeah. It's nice to have support here on your back, yeah. So it was lekker.
And what do you guys expect from tomorrow's racing?
I think tomorrow we expect to finish in earlier because it's the last day.
Enjoy it. We look forward to seeing you out there.
Thank you very much.
Well, that is the wonderful pairing of Lorenzo Leroux and Loyanda Tobangunia from Stellenbosch. Lorenzo does live, right next to the gate of Jonkershoek, and in fact he's a beneficiary from Kuro Schools of a prize, winning the Wines to Wales event a couple of years ago in the Exaro category. One of the prizes was a scholarship from grade 1 to grade 12 for children. His partner donated his prize to him so he could send both his children to the Kuro school. So that is true, real value, those prizes for these riders. Heading to the podiums for our women's top 3 today. There they go. Second place faces a roller. Stage winners, 91 Songo Specialized and BMC MTB in third place.
Position today, BMC MTB Racing, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot.
Another solid day for Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot of BMC MTB Racing.
40 seconds behind the
3 stage wins already. They'll walk away from this event with a great deal of satisfaction at those efforts, that's for sure. 1 stage win and a number of second places, but second on GC faces roller. Mariska Strauss and Candice Lill.
Taking the stage win again today. 91 Songo
And
Specialized.
in first place in the CM.com women's category, we once again have 91 Songo Specialized. Strong finish by the pair, who managed to actually make the decision of today's stage, I think maybe 5 to 10 Ks before the finish line. So not a tight finish sprint, but a strong finish by this team.
So they have won 3 stages as well. A really good performance by Hayley Batten and Sophia Gomez-Vierfan. They're certainly not in the shade any longer. They are right up front in the glaring light as the race leaders in the Chivita Orange leaders jerseys, and we'll see them in those very shortly. That's what it means. It really is a sense of great satisfaction and achievement in crossing the line first, particularly here in Stellenbosch. Somehow there is a magic about mountain biking in Stellenbosch, and winning a stage in this town is a great feeling. Not that any of the other stages are less important, but there's just a sense of real achievement. There's a big crowd. This town is steeped in mountain biking. Riders come from all over the world and spend months and weeks living here and training here, enjoying these trails and preparing for their professional years. So once more, with just the grand finale to come, it is the 91 Songo Specialized pair who will take those orange jerseys onto the start line for the grand finale tomorrow. Hayley Batten and Sophia Gomez-Vierfan. They've got a comfortable lead now of over a quarter of an hour, and that should, that old thing, anything can happen in mountain biking, but it should be enough for them to get to the finish in Val de Vie with the race win. Well, that all will unfold tomorrow, that's for sure. And as they did yesterday, it is the home of the Songo.info charity, and they do support these riders every stage when they've donated the prize to the Songo initiative. It's up in Kayamandi. They've got a clubhouse there, they've got a BMX track, a pump track, and these youngsters getting a chance to be part of the action here at the Absa Cape Epic. It's wonderful.
And the Songo program is very much part of the fabric of the history of the race. And one of the founders is Christoph Sauser, together with Songo Papauza. And in 2008, in fact, really came about when Christoph Sauser was looking for a partner, a worthy partner to ride the race, and found Barry Stander and rode under the banner of Songo.info.
We roll back to the start of stage 6 in Stellenbosch, a 76 kilometer, 2,400 meter climbing day. A really tough day, but packed with trails, and early signs there that we would see a similar pattern to previous days, with the Speed Company Racing putting themselves up front early. So did the Bulls, but they would fade as the steep ramps of the brutal climb up the Botmaskop would take it all. This is well before Botmaskop, but already there, the little climb starting to spread the field. Now they're on to Botmaskop, and Egger and Baum of Speed Company Racing starting to do what they've done so many times. The early signs were not good for Canyon Northwave, the yellow jerseys, with the world champion Andreas Seewald needing a push from his partner. You can see them way back down the hill down there, and they were starting to lose time as early as the first 6 kilometers on this stage.
So earlier that the William Pirelli team were already making their presence known at the start of the field, and the all African Absa African jerseys having a fantastic day yesterday. Perhaps suffering from that effort, but very clear that highly motivated is Speed Company Racing. We saw at the front the yellow jersey, whereas perhaps just not that urgent on the front, with Martin Stozek, we'd hate to say blocking the trails, but certainly keeping the pace under control, and a bit of impatience there from the Germans to get past. And we're watching Nino Schurter really make the most of the trails in Stellenbosch. He's a highly decorated rider, 9-time world champion, but doesn't stop him having some fun out on the trails of Stellenbosch. And the yellow jerseys under pressure today, and again Nino Schurter really showing us why he is the greatest of all time in cross-country mountain bike racing.
Yeah, the trails on Old Bethlehem Farm. This is the other side of the the mountains on the Banhoek Valley, built and created by Conrad Stolz, but maintained by Van and Bosman and the Bethlehem team, and they have been working tirelessly. They'll be so proud at seeing the best riders in the world on these trails as they snaked out towards Carmore and the checkpoint here. They'd been there previously through Zorgfleet, and the group was all together: William Pirelli as well as Speed Company Racing and 91, the Toyota 91 Specialized pair, but the absentees were the yellow jerseys.
And struggling, the Andreas Seewald, the German rider, in fact he's a world champion, and really showing that he's not on a good day. It'll all be about managing the damage for those two, and for these two riders that we just saw there, that was Scotsram, haven't had the greatest week, but we'll see what they do tomorrow. The impatience we saw earlier on from Ravensteiner meant that they made an attack, they made a move and moved themselves away from that threesome, that three-team group that we saw, and making it count and making it stick, knowing that they have plenty of trails to go and it would be a very good time for them to attack. But with Speed Company Racing also with a lot to gain on the overall general classification, they were on the charge as well and around about a minute and a half back pretty much consistently throughout the day.
Good day for the William Pirelli team, because this is Cameron Orr and Daniel Gersmeyer in third place with their premier team up front, and this team in the middle, Gail Gega and Lucas Baum. They have been perhaps the most cohesive of the leading teams throughout the week. They've never been more than a few inches from each other's wheels on the flats and following each other a couple of meters apart on every bit of trail. It's been wonderful to see. They were putting pressure, or trying to put as much pressure on Canyon Northwave on the general classification, knowing that Andreas Seewald was having a hard day. They sensed an opportunity to gain ground on the yellow jerseys who were snaking down the Armageddon trail. Meanwhile, Ravensteiner and Wout Alleman, the Italian champion and the Belgian champion, had pinned their ears back and were heading for a possible stage victory.
Well, we saw the yellow jerseys earlier in the picture, and they seem to find their rhythm throughout the middle point of the stage and managing the damage and leaking time, but better to leak time than to shed time. And if today would be their bad day, or if today would be their only bad day, they did a pretty good job of it.
It's Jose Diaz and Hans Becking of Buff Megamo had a solid day today. They had a slow start and started riding themselves back into the frame and into fourth place. Meanwhile, on the new Jonkershoek trails, rocky and rough they were, but beautiful riding for all the riders. Wout Alleman and Fabian Ravenstein. Alleman had gone through a bit of a power outage in the Jonkershoek section, but had come back strong, according to our man on the bike there, Stefan Sam, and they started rolling down towards the finish at Coetzenburg, knowing that they had this in the bag, the William Pirelli team. Last little pitch up onto the crest at Coetzenburg. High fives all round. This pair were chasing, but not quite close enough to win the stage. That wasn't really their priority. It was for this pair, Alleman and Ravensteiner of William Pirelli. They often as a team come good late in the Absa Cape Epic, and they've done so again today. A second stage win for Ravensteiner, first for Alleman, as they take stage 6 in Stellenbosch in very impressive fashion, and they certainly enjoyed the occasion in Stellenbosch. Well ridden, Ravensteiner and Alleman.
It's a new partnership and a very cohesive one at that, but the riders with a lot to gain were Speed Company Racing. They sensed blood in the water with the yellow jerseys, and another fantastic performance from the William Pirelli team, getting first and third on the day.
So Stellenbosch hosting the best riders in the world on stage 6 of the most competitive mountain bike stage race in the world, the Absa Cape Epic, as the women's field left one team light today, I'm afraid, with the Liv cycling team losing one of their riders, Casey Armstrong, not able to start today. So Sarah Hill having to ride on her own. Meanwhile, the race lead in the very secure pockets of 91 Songo Specialized. Not a good day for Ariane Luti and for Amy Wakefield. Their priorities changing from trying to get onto the podiums to just trying to survive through the 8 days here.
And some of the question marks on this field today is would Robin de Groot and Pauline be able to bounce back from a little bit more challenging day yesterday? We do see them having the tendency of coming back strong whenever they had a hard day. But once we came to the climbs and the selection started to happen, well, they had to settle into their own pace, and that kind of left the 91 Sangro Specialized team together at the front with the Faces roller team. And that led us guessing, will we see the same scenario like yesterday, where they battled all the way to the finish line, ending up in a finish sprint. And still on the trails in Jonkershoek, the two teams, it almost looked like they were working together. And we were wondering, when would one team try to go on the attack? With the Specialized team securely in their orange jerseys, well, they don't have to take too many chances, and that could kind of leave a little bit of pressure on the Faces roller team here. Once we got to the trails, it was quite obvious that the 91 Sangro Specialized team, they had done their homework. They knew the trails, they flew, had a high pace down these trails, and were actually able to create a gap down these trails.
Flying through the Dentist Trail here just outside Jonkershoek, they were in command now. They had sensed an opportunity for another stage win to add to the 2 they've already won, and they were making it count. Were Hayley Batten and Sophia Gomez-Vierfan. They had about 30 odd seconds over Candice Lill and Mariska Strauss, and the final little kicker after the river crossing at the Eerste River, they turned left up that kicker, and it was a charge for the line. A really impressive performance again. They have been outstanding. They've not put a foot wrong, and it's another really, really good performance by this pair, Sophia Gomez-Vierfan and Hayley Batten. Wow.
Clearly keeping the pace as high as possible. They know they got a bit of a gap on that single track section, and with all to play for towards the end, they will keep that. They wanted to keep that power up as long as they could, and to extend that gap, because they know that the Faces roller would be highly motivated to win another stage. And it's all about the heat of the racing, and just making sure that leaving nothing to chance and taking the advantages when they can. They certainly did that. They took the opportunity and they ran with it, and they made it stick.
And meanwhile, we can see that the gap is not really closing down, even though Faces roller, they do everything they can to try and catch up. Meanwhile, at the front, this team was not holding back at all. They just looked stronger and stronger throughout the stage. One thing that we also see that they execute quite well is the teamwork. So whenever one rider is feeling a little bit stronger, she just manages her power well, and actually is capable of transferring some of that extra power to a partner. And in the end, it makes all the difference.
In third place were BMC MTB and Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, just a little bit ahead of her partner Robin de Groot. The final little climb we saw was a decisive factor in stage 5's stage. Not so today, because this pair had a comfortable lead. Sophia Gomez-Vierfan and Hayley Batten riding to a third stage win and consolidating their hold on those orange leaders jerseys once again here in Stellenbosch. A delightful scene for them as they celebrate another beautiful ride today. The teamwork absolutely outstanding, as it was for Faces roller. Mariska Strauss and Candice Lill taking second place just 39 seconds later, and third 11 minutes later, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Robin de Groot finishing third on the stage to consolidate their hold on third place on the general classification.
And there we have the battleground of where it all happened today, and a lot did happen. Some shifts on the overall general classification once again, and really just a fantastic day out for racing in the men's and the women's category.
Spectacular view courtesy of our drone pilot as we come sweeping down the Jonkershoek Valley, give you an idea of the fire roads and the trails that abound in this part of the world. It really is a very, very special part of the world to ride bikes. And the race village all set up to host the riders today as they roll towards the finish, the penultimate stage. The general classification with one stage to go in the CM.com women's category sees Hayley Batten and Sophia Gomez-Villafan of 91 Songo Specialized lead Candice Lill and Mariska Strauss by 16 minutes and 29 seconds. They've extended that lead by just under a minute on today's stage. Ferran Prevot and De Groot of BMC MTB Racing 38 minutes back. Rabi and Preen now in 4th place. Their hard work is paying off. Meanwhile, Ariane Luthi and Amy Wakefield have had a tough last few days. They got through the day today, which was their goal, and no doubt tomorrow will be the same. Let's hope that they feel a little bit better. Ariane feels stronger tomorrow, and they can perhaps mount an assault on 4th place. Who knows? It's only 4 minutes back to Rabi and Preen. So 1 day to go in the 2022 Absa Cape Epic, the 18th edition of this incredible event. Sierwald and Stosek, the margin of advantage to them is just 2 minutes and 45. We'll be scrambling through the record books to look back to see when last it was that close going into the grand finale. Beers and Blevin 7:40 back. And, well, it's all about those three going into the final day.
Well, there's a simple answer to that, Gerald. It has never been that close going into the grand finale. At 2 minutes 45, the next closest time was in 2007. So that was 15 years ago with Carl Platt and Stefan Sam holding a 3-minute 33 gap over the Cannondale Vredestein team. And that was Rolf Paulison and Jakob Vogelsang. So it will be an absolute humdinger tomorrow, and there's no doubt that Speed Company Racing will go all out.
They certainly will. It's going to be a beautiful culmination to a week's racing in the 2022 Absa Cape Epic, rolling down. Owen Gesma had a really good day today. Sherton Foster dropped back down to 9th place after leaking more time today. Weber and Fenter have been quietly maneuvering themselves into the top 10. Rotten Swenson out of the top 10, and Bontekoning and Detroit, the second All-Africa team, but they're a long way behind the Mbuko Type Dev team. And in Ndebele and Selala, well, they look as though they're riding themselves to victory in the Exaro category in the top 30. Fantastic racing for them. Well, what a day it has been here in Stellenbosch. As we've said, the racing at the sharp end is nothing short of world class, with the very best riders in the world in action. But of course, thousands still making their way to the finish here on stage 6. Hopefully they finish in one piece and they can launch the attack to Val de Vie tomorrow. So beautiful. Look at that breathless day today, in stark contrast to the wind that was howling around Stellenbosch yesterday.
Yeah, it just shows the variety of the climate here and terrain. So yeah, it changes every single day, and as a rider, it's quite nice to get a little bit of different type of riding in.
Absolutely, and in totally different conditions every day, and that's what this event does. It challenges you on so many fronts. Confirming that Platt and Sauser now have a 44-minute and 50-second lead over Craig Durand, Andrew Divenage of Restonic, and they have just a slender lead over the Spanish Fit to Bike Natural Berry team, and that'll be a race tomorrow. It's intense racing all the way down in the classifications. The mixed saw a big change yesterday, not at the overall leaders, but in the second and third, and the Grand Masters has been a pretty intense battle as well. That's what we'll have to see. And all the way down for riders who will be looking, as we heard Oliver Munich and Nick Dlamini saying, they look at the general classification. Who's a few minutes ahead of us? Who's chasing us? What have we got to do tomorrow to maintain our position in this? It's a racer's race, this.
Well, they call it the most competitive mountain bike stage race in the world. And it's not just among the top riders. It's in all the various categories. And even for the privateers who come, they all look at They all look at the result sheet at the end of the day, and they'll see their friends or their rivals or the riders they see out on the trails, and they'll see how they're faring against each other.
Well, rolling into the finish, these riders, these have had a really good day. These are strong men and women who are finishing now after the 76-kilometer challenge around this beautiful trail network of Stellenbosch. It is quite simply breathtaking, the riding opportunities that are available here. The bells are ringing the riders home here at Coetzenburg as they cross the line at the end of stage 6. 1 to go. Another big tick today, because this was a day that loomed large at the start of the week as one of those challenging days with so much climbing, and the second shortest stage of the race at 76 kilometers. Tomorrow is 68 kilometers, but still a small matter of 2,000 meters to climb as they go the other way around the Simonsberg mountain and the trails of Murati to enjoy tomorrow, and so much more as they make the way to the Val de Vie grand finale and the finish of this great journey.
Today was certainly a concentration of climbing and of the trails, and really a true mountain biker's course today. We saw a transition day yesterday with a lesser concentration of trails, and in fact a welcome respite for some of the riders who've been through Greyton. Greyton, just to recap, is one of the roughest areas in terms of trails, and the trails are very rocky and very loose and very dry. And spending 2 loops of Greyton, the riders were grateful for that transition day, and they could get into Stellenbosch and enjoy some of the best trails in the world.
Well, the ultimate stage, the grand finale, is upon us tomorrow, and Stellenbosch to Val de Vie with, as I said, just a small matter of 2,000 meters of climbing. They'll ride through Ida's Valley, and then Simonsberg still to come. Those climbs are steep up there on the upper sections of Simonsberg. Then a mazy journey through those wonderful trails of Murati, Dutopia, and Moran Buerta's great creative juices are flowing there, because he's given the riders something to enjoy. As they drop down on the other side, the northern slopes of Simonsberg, they'll ride through Marianne Wines, and then Fred and List. They also get to ride through Babylon's Touring for the very first time. Farms and landowners opening their gates to the Absa Cape Epic. It's a challenging day. Most of the challenge will come on the first section, and then they fly down to Val de Vie and the grand finale to be feted and welcomed home in a spray of champagne, and to receive the medals and the accolades they are fully due after completing this 8-day mountain bike stage race. There are few harder challenges than this on a mountain bike, and to finish it is worthy of a champion regardless of where you finish.
Well, they call it a hero's welcome, and it is certainly it's certainly well deserved for anyone finishing this race from the very back end of the field to the front.
Let's talk about the front, because that is going to be the key tomorrow. And just looking at that profile, only 68 kilometers, 2,000 meters, less than 3 minutes the gap. Anneke, I mean, this is your chance to win the race. If you're sitting at second place, the leaders are 2:45. They've shown cracks the previous day. What is the plan?
Well, to go full gas from the beginning, it's quite easy plan, because we can see they managed to attack quite early in the race and actually pull out a big gap. And tomorrow they don't have the longest stage in this entire race. It's a relatively short stage, so they will need to start clawing back those, or like reducing those 2 minutes and 45 seconds right from the very beginning. So it will be one of the most intense final stages in this race history, I have a feeling.
Absa Cape Epic living up to it. They are chasing Canyon Northwave, who won stage 1 and have been defending that yellow jerseys, but today showed the first serious signs of frailty as Andreas Seerbold, who seems to be struggling, we believe, from painful ribs suffered in a crash on stage 1. So that's the crux of the race tomorrow, and behind that there's also the story of Toyota 91 Specialized, who are only a few minutes behind Speed Company Racing, so they will want to be putting pressure on them. So the racing's going to be red hot all the way around those 68 kilometers in the men's race.
Well, exactly. It's not just a 2-horse race. It's 3 teams who are really in it, and of course the tactics will play into really who's prepared to win the stage. Because of course, if you have a scenario where Nino Schurter, for example, or Lars Foster, if they are looking to win a stage, they're going to make a break for it really early on. And if a team like Speed Company Racing can cooperate, if they can get in touch with that marauding team, with that team that has their focus on the overall, they can, or on the stage win, teams who are looking for the overall will look to latch on and form an alliance with them, because of course the agenda is to win the general classification, and a team like Nino Schurter and Lars Foster may really be keen just to form that alliance in exchange for perhaps a little bit of a lighter sprint. We'll have to see exactly how it all plays out, but the battle for the overall and the battle for the stage win, the prestigious stage win of the grand finale, will no doubt mesh and all be interlinked tomorrow, and we look forward to seeing how it all unfolds.
A lot of contenders for tomorrow's stage in the men's category. Also, I think we should mention the Villiers Pirelli factory team with Daniel Skeismeyer and Cameron Orr having a lot of momentum today, and I feel like they're getting stronger and stronger, so don't count them out at all.
And we saw the South Africans having a great day on yesterday's stage, so perhaps they're also contenders for a stage win.
It's all up tomorrow, and in the women's race, well, Faces Roller off over quarter of an hour back behind 91 Songo Specialized, so it is looking increasingly likely that control over the women's race, 91 Songo Specialized, is going to be extended to a 7th year. 5 titles for Anneke here, and then last year Laura Stigger and Sina Fry, and this year Haley Batten and Sophia Gomez-Villefran have this race in their hands. We'll tell you all about it tomorrow. Don't forget to join us, because it's going to be fantastic drama from the final day of the 18th edition of the race that measures all, the Absa Cape Epic. We'll be with you all the way through it, so be sure to be right where you are now. Till then, cheers.